Hey, my friend, it's Brendon Burchard, and as you can see with the timer above, this class is just about to start for you. And over the next 3 days, you're gonna learn how the world's top coaches really develop the mindset, the methodology, and the offers and promotions to build real coaching businesses. You're gonna love this. Now, before we start, you'll see the timer clicking down here. Before we start, two very simple things. Number one, stop everything else you're doing, grab a journal, get ready to take a lot of notes. You're gonna find this 3 days extremely valuable, and I promise you it will open up your mind to a whole new way of earning and building and making your impact as a coach and creator. Second, if there's any reason you're gonna miss the next 3 days, or you just want to, in advance, own this entire life coaching class from me, you can actually pre-purchase it right now to own it forever. For just $47, you'll get all 3 days unlocked right now. So you don't have to show up tomorrow and the next day and hope you can catch it. You can just pre-purchase it and actually own it forever. I think that's important because we got so much feedback. That's why I'm recording this for you now. That's, oh my, I missed this. Could you replay that? Could you do this? I'm like, well, actually, the way that we're broadcasting it again right now, you can just purchase it and own it and watch it on your own time. Also, when you do that, I want to give a gift to you, which is so many coaches, as they're starting their business, what they really need is somebody to talk to. They need to hop on the phone with a consultant or a strategy advisor and say, what's your business like? What are you doing already? What is your programming? What's your curriculum look like? How do you coach people? What are you doing in your personal branding? How much are you charging? All those questions that you probably need a professional to ask you, my team will do it for you for free if you purchase the life coaching class. Again, just 47 bucks. That call alone is like $500 of value to talk to somebody who's on a team that has sold hundreds of millions of dollars of coaching. So I really want you to take advantage of this. You can pre-purchase again. Down below, you'll see you can purchase it for $47. You have a 30-day money-back guarantee on it anyway. So you might as well purchase it and let me prove it to you how good it is. And get on the phone with one of my team members to talk about what you want to achieve in your coaching business. Because as you'll hear me talk about, you already yearn to make a difference, right? You're here because you actually care about doing that. You know, I'm on my 20th year full-time as a coach, and I've been blessed to become the #1 high-performance coach in the world and train and certify thousands of the world's best coaches. And what I've learned is that feeling, that impulse you have inside to make a difference in other people's lives, it's never gonna go away. So you might as well build on top of it. You might as well get in the game. You might as well learn to do this and excel at it and really stand out at it. So if you'd like to pre-purchase my life coaching course right now, just for $47, I'll throw in a call with my team to talk about where you're at in your business. Otherwise, please enjoy this training, take tons of notes, and follow that impulse in your heart to make a difference. With that, let me jump into my life coaching class right now. All right, everybody. Hey, it's Brendon Burchard, and this is gonna be awesome. We've got 3 incredible days to talk about life coaching. How does the industry work? How can you start? How can you make an impact? How can we collectively maybe change the direction of the industry in a positive way? And most importantly, how do you ultimately get going? How do you get clients? How do you build an awesome business at this? How do you enjoy this? I want to welcome everybody. I want to thank you for being here. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to walk through mindset, money, and method. We're going to talk about how do you really think about this industry. And I actually hope, my secret hope is today that you're going to find something that you access within to make a decision that this will be a more fulfilling part of your life. We've got a lot of people chasing social media, chasing followers, chasing content, chasing fame. They're doing lots of shows, tons of reels. You've got your TikTok, you've got your Instagram, you're doing so much, but you're not having maybe the impact or the sense of fulfillment or enjoyment at the end of each week that you'd probably expect at this stage of your life. I don't know if that's true or false for you personally, but I know that's happening in the industry. A lot of people are working very, very hard and they're not happy. A lot of people want to work hard, but they don't know what to do. And a lot of people are working really, really hard, but all they're doing is gaining maybe attention, but no significant impact or growth in both the feelings of doing the work, because we're going to talk a lot about that today, but also the revenue and the lifestyle that you really deserve if you decided to help people. And I think our industry really got away from the conversation of actually making a difference with people. We got so into the selfie side of this, the project yourself, get fans, get followers, but it's become so much about fame and attention. And now we have a lot of people who aren't fulfilled and are getting bored and not taking action. I mean, is anyone watching? Has any of you gotten bored doing social media, or kind of bored or knowing it's not a good thing for you? And you're like, well, I'm putting myself out there, Brendan. I'm like, yes, but see, they fooled us. They fooled us. They taught creators to believe that the game is attention. The game is to put yourself out there. The game is solely projection. The game is all about followers and fame. And you know what? It's empty for a lot of people. They did that, or they're doing that, but they're not actually doing what they came in to do, which was like start a career. It's not about content creation to feed the beast of the social media companies. It's about a career. And as soon as you can shift that, you'll probably understand what I hope is your competitive advantage. A lot of people, they're just like, oh, I just want to do marketing and sales and a little side hustle. So you got all the marketing and money bros out there who are just convincing you, make money, make money, make money. And everything they do is lacking soul, spirit, service, humanity, heart. If you read my book from 2010 called The Millionaire Messenger, it was make a difference. It was about making a difference. And yes, making a fortune, but it was about making a difference. It was about choosing a career, choosing something to do each week, whether it's part-time or full-time, where you're doing something each week and it's actually making a difference and it's bringing you alive. And it's a career of contribution. That's what you get to choose. That's my difference maker. I'm competing with most people who are trying to post content to become famous. And they might do that, and then they're lacking the revenue, the growth, but most importantly, they're gone in 3 years because there was no fulfillment for them. So they moved on to the next platform to make the next reel, to make the next dance, to make the next thing. But you get to make a career of contribution choice today. And I want you to approach this whole conversation a different way with me. I need to move us away from the selfie kind of idea of just like project yourself, create the content, create content, be addicted to social media, or are you going to build a career? Because I think they fooled us. They told us, we went from a coaching industry to now we're all bucketed in with just creators. And by the way, I'm a happy creator. I'm going to teach you on day 3 to be a happy creator. I love that you want to be a creator. I love that might be one role of all of our lives, right? There's a role of me creating, but I create to support a career of contribution. Y'all got it? I'm not creating just for fun. I'm creating for a demonstration of art, right? For my art, for the things that I love to portray, to share, to communicate. I want you to do that part of that projection, right? Creating to display your art, to demonstrate your life. It's okay to be creating, but I think that the career is not creating. The career is having impact with people. The career is making a difference with people. And yes, you can do that through social media. But I bring this up right off the bat because I got to shift the mindset a little bit here. I approached this when I came in the industry as a career, and that has made me stand out for 2 decades because I'm competing against people smashing an easy button to make money. All the people out there, maybe you've taken a course from these people. It's literally heartless, soulless stuff. It's just money, 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 this page, this page, this page, this funnel, this funnel, this funnel, this thing, this thing, this thing. But they don't actually care. They don't care about you. They don't really care about their career. They're doing something just to make money, but it's devoid of meaning. And I know you see this in the industry. I got so fired up about it last week. I'm like, I'm just going to go live and we're going to reset to make you successful, but also to make you fulfilled. That's what you're after at this stage of your career. Yes, we all want to have a career that earns. I mean, let's not take revenue for granted here. I want to make sure as I go through and teach you, day one, we're going to talk about a lot of the mindset and the method for making your difference. We'll talk about the money piece. On day two, we'll talk about building a program. Many people want to become a coach, but they don't have anything to sell. So we're going to talk about what is your program? What is your offer? And then we'll talk about promotions as well. And promotions are specific things you do to get a client. It's not your overall brand, right? We're going to talk about specific promotion to get people to buy your program. And on day three, we'll move into brand and business. Okay. I'm going to come and talk about coaching right now with you. And hopefully I can give some distinctions about what it really is, because I think people get confused about it. Today, it's this whole idea that, oh, I guess I get people on the phone call and I just, ask them how they're doing and what their goals are and what gets in the way of their mindset and their habits to succeed. And then we end and say, talk to you next week. It's so much different than that. And I want you to get excited about this because I'm going to work through this in a way today that I want to tell you about the coaching industry, but I also want to coach you a little bit along the way about a different approach to your life. So this is a lot today. I'm trying to put it together in my own head. So we have a lot to do today. Okay. So what is coaching? I want to start right off the bat and tell you what this is. Coaching, whoops, I'm doing something magical there. There we go. Coaching, and I want you to write this down, is an, influence process. Okay, coaching is an influence process. What does that mean? Well, first, it's a back and forth, right? We got to know it's a back and forth. You have influence with your client. They have influence with you. This is not something we're going to sit dispassionately and just listen to people and nod and mirror and match their comments. That is nice from the 1990s. That is not what this is anymore. In real coaching today, there's dramatic influence back and forth. And you have to think about it as a process of influence. And you need to make sure you underline this one. Process. This is a process. You're going to have a process to create that influence with people. And what you're selling is less just the idea of life coaching. You need to have a process for making a difference in people's lives. That makes sense? We'll talk about your process becoming programming. We'll talk about your process becoming central to your offer. But ultimately, you're going to have your own coaching process that gets the influence that you want with your customer. And you should think, okay, if I have a client, what's the influence I'm going to want to have with them? Now, don't worry if you're totally new to all this. I'm going to share 3 different types of influence that we have with people. And then we'll talk more and more as we go throughout these 3 free days with you about what that really means, okay? So just stick with me if some of this might sound new or too fast. You're like, dude, you're 15 minutes in. Tell me more stories. I'm not. I'm going for it. We got a lot to do. Who's pumped to be here? I'm ready for you guys. I've been pumped. I've been up since 5 a.m. getting ready for you guys. So I'm trying to slow down. What we want to do is make sure you understand that coaching is an influence process. You're going to have to know how to influence. You're going to have to build a process. What do you do in this? Well, in my definition of coaching, we're really after 3 things of influence. If you'll write this down, this might help you. The first thing that we're after is discovery. Okay. The first part of influence is we're after discovery. We're trying to help the customer, the client. We're going to use the word of client throughout this day. Though I know many of you, it might be a customer. You might be doing group coaching or cohort-based coaching where there's more than one person. I'll just use the word client, like this is a client or a group of clients, so that this becomes easier for me to teach. Okay, so with your client, the biggest part of influence you're trying to work with them is in discovery. You're trying to help them discover who they are and better ways of living and leading. Ultimately, that's what we're all trying to do. We're trying to help them discover better ways of living and leading and getting them to know themselves better, right? We're not doing this as a process of therapy. Everyone always asks, what's the difference between coaching and therapy? It's pretty simple. Are you a therapist? No? Then don't worry about it. That's all you need to know. Are you a therapist? No. Are you licensed? No. Then don't worry about it. You're not doing therapy. You don't know how. It's not even a worry. So many people are like, I don't want to do therapy. I'm like, if you aren't a licensed therapist, you don't know how to do therapy. I mean, you might have read your nice books in self-help or personal development or spirituality, but that's not doing therapy. Therapy means you are licensed and you are specifically able to diagnose disorder and to help treat and work through traumas. That's a very specific, highly regulated skill set. And so if you're like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to, I don't know. I don't know what happened to our industry. I think maybe some therapists fear-mongered coaches out of being coaches, and some coaches fear-mongered themselves because they were worried they were going to do therapy. I'm like, you're not going to do therapy. You probably don't know how. Shout out of respect to all my therapists out there. It's a very highly skilled thing that you would be licensed to do. The primary difference is in therapy, there's conversations of discovery in terms of talk therapy, specifically about identifying disorder, dealing with trauma, and dealing with issues that are truly blocking or preventing the client, in this case, their patient, from living a meaningful, fulfilling life. I mean, there's major things blocking their progress and their ways of living healthfully, right? In coaching, our process of discovery is much more oriented around the topics of clarity, about what they want for themselves moving forward, about how they're going to approach things, how they're going to do things. And we'll talk more about that as we go. But it's a conversation of discovery. And the reason I bring this up to you all, many of you have self-image worries. Can I be a coach? And I'm here to tell you, all of you can become a coach, because coaching is an influence process. You can learn the influence, you can learn the process, and you can learn to have conversations to help people discover things about themselves. Okay, we're going to talk very specifically about the levers later on. We're going to talk about levers to do all of this, right? What lever can you pull to help them discover what's meaningful in a coaching relationship? So for those who are already freaked out, just stick with me. For those who already don't agree with something I've said, stick with me. I have 3 days of context laying here with you, so give me a little bit of time to build up with you. When I first began in this industry, I was scared because I thought coaching was about me. Many of you think coaching is about you. You think it's about your background or your resume, your bank account, how much you believe in yourself, how much you earn, whether or not you have expertise or credibility in a specific field or industry. That's not what coaching is. I'm not going to be totally rude, but coaching really isn't about me, and it's not really about you. Coaching is about the influence process between the coach and the client or clients. It's about the process between them, not necessarily about your background or even, dare I say it, the client's background. I don't have to dig deep into my client's background and childhood to move them forward today. That's a big difference. A lot of coaching is much more meet them where they're at today, move them forward. We don't have to spend a lot of time trying to process and understand what might have prevented or blocked or traumatized. That work is very specific. Our work is to meet them today and help them get into a discovery process for a specific reason. Now stick with me. And this is another part of the process. It's all about decision-making. This process is first and foremost about discovery, and then it's about decision-making. Okay, decision-making. And it takes both of you to do this, right? It takes both of you to do this. But notice, we are orienting clients towards decision-making. And this freed me. For those who are like, can I really earn money doing this? Am I capable? Would this work for me? I'm here to encourage you and to cheer you on, because I was blown away when I got into coaching, how little it was about me. And I was happy how much it was about a process of figuring things out. Everyone write it down. A process of figuring things out with your client. You don't need to know their childhood, and they don't need to know your childhood. A process of figuring things out is meeting where they're at right now, asking questions, opening them up, and moving them forward within your specific process. That's what they bought. They bought a process. They didn't buy your background. This is very hard for newbies to understand, because you have all this self-worth stuff. Can I do it? Am I capable? Will people pay me? My answer is yes, you can do it. Yes, you can become capable. And yes, people will pay you as you develop the skill of the process. And so people hire me all the time to coach them in their lives. They do stuff I don't understand anything about. I mean, I currently work with 4 separate billionaires as a coach. None of them do anything I do. None of them are life coaches. None of them are creators. Only one of them even has any social media. They're not interested at all in what I do. Does it make sense? They're not trying to be me, and I'm not trying to be them. See, I've coached people in careers that I don't even understand. Do you know I coached a hockey player, like a world famous hockey player? Do you know something? I hate hockey. I don't even like hockey. And when the person called me knowing that I'm a coach, all he knew was, hey, I got a referral. I heard you're a great coach. I said, I am. He said, well, great. Let me tell you what I'm facing and trying to deal with in my career. I said, great, let's talk through it. We talked through it. I'll tell you some of the levers I pulled in that conversation. But so he hired me as a coach. I have zero background in hockey. Y'all understand this, right? I don't like hockey. I think my sister dated a hockey player. Maybe I do need a therapist. I don't know. Okay. So I'm just telling you, I don't even like that sport. I don't even watch that sport. No offense to hockey players anywhere out there. Love you. I'm just saying it's not my thing. So all of you sitting at home watching this right now going, but I don't have this background, but I haven't done that. They don't care. What they care is, can you coach? And if you're actually listening to me right now, I think you're finding a great deal of hope in this industry. I wish somebody told me at the very beginning, Brendan, it's not about your expertise, buddy. It's about, can you coach? Because you're going to work with people from fields and careers and backgrounds that you don't have. Well, let's see. I think I've ever only coached one person. Yeah, I think I've only ever coached one person who was an actual rocket scientist. I'm not kidding you. This was a person in one of my cohort groups, was an actual rocket scientist. I'm not a rocket scientist. I don't even quite get it. I just kind of learned what a light year was recently and how amazing that is. So I don't know. Are you all rocket? Some of you are rocket scientists, but I coached a rocket scientist. I coached a billionaire. I coached an NHL player. Why does this matter to you? I'm here to tell you, you discount your capabilities right now. You made too much about your life, about your resume and your past. You made too much of your life about your current bank account. You made too much about your life based on your insecurities, and it's stopped you from actually helping people figure things out, making a difference in their life, and earning more. I know that's hard to understand, but I know I even have very experienced coaches watching this right now. And many of you haven't gone for that next level of charging more. You haven't gone for that next level of client because you thought, who am I? I'm not that person. I did that too. When I was first starting, I was terrified to charge more because I thought, well, I don't even earn that much money. It's not about how much you earn. It's not about your background. It's, again, about a process. Y'all getting this? I don't know if this is a shift for you or not, But I bet too much of your current psychology is based on your past and based on what you think you're capable of versus your ability to collaborate with people, your ability to have a conversation with people, your care about other people, and your joy of talking with them and working through and figuring things out, which you can figure things out. Your job in that discovery process, of course, though, is to get your client into decision-making mode, to make more decisions that are healthy for them to move forward in their life. And so a lot of the decision-making conversation is the reason they hired you. They know they need a little bit more help in clarity and getting things done. They know they need to take more action. They are confused about what to do. They're holding back, just like many of you. And I say that to you with respect because I did that too. I didn't know what I wanted. I held back a lot. So I probably delayed getting into the life coaching industry probably by 2 or 3 years. I could have started earlier, but I was scared. I didn't think I had enough experience. Like, experience for what? It's one of the reasons I don't like a lot of the organizations that have popped up around coaching that tell you how many hours you have to have coached before you're quote unquote credible, or a starter, or an associate, or a beginner, or a level 1, or they make all these artificial nonsense kind of designations and hours and experience and submitting reports and all this other stuff. I had earned over $1 million coaching. And I remember going to one of these websites to see about, what these credentials were they were talking about. And I hadn't even done what they were talking about a beginner needs to do in their belief about what makes somebody credible. What I believe makes you credible is you want to make a difference in people's lives. You're willing to have the tough conversations to do it, and you're willing to put yourself out there and get clients and get to work. Your number of hours is like a thing that stops people from starting. They go, well, I don't have any hours, so they never start. Like, well, you're never going to get into the game unless you just decide you're capable of working people through an influence process, working through discovery, working through decision-making. Okay, I'm going to keep going a little bit here. I know I'm pushing at you. I'm pushing at the industry a little bit here, but stick with me and you'll see why. Because I feel like a lot of people can earn a lot more, and we can shift the tone of the industry to be more open, to welcome more people into it, to encourage them to try, to start, to earn, because this industry is amazing. This is my 20th year doing this. And what I can tell you about this in 20 years is how much fun, how much freedom, how much finances, but how much fulfillment that I've gotten every day that I get to get up in it. I got up at 5 a.m. for you guys today because I was like, I get to talk to new coaches today. It's energizing for me. Okay, it's energizing for me. And I hope you feel the same way. Okay, we're not done yet. Okay, decision making, and then helping them form deliberate habits for progress and growth. Deliberate habits for progress and growth. Obviously, a lot of coaching is about this idea of deliberate habits. What does that mean? It means these are determined actions, routines, rituals, habits that they are setting up in their life that are conscious, that are all oriented towards progress and growth. It's a very specific thing. We are trying to move them forward and help them grow, right? It's a very, very specific thing in coaching. Other industries and even some modalities of therapy might be so much more about healing. And that's not the conversations we're usually having. Not that we don't have conversations that involve healing. It's just not the dynamic or the specific purpose of most coaching, unless you're a healing coach, which we can talk about later. But most people, even in that genre, it's about establishing habits and making the client more deliberate. Another way I used to describe this, which you might not like the word, which is why I don't use it as much anymore. If you like this acronym we're kind of setting up here, alliteration, discovery, decision-making, deliberate habits. I used to just call this discipline. If you want shorthand, I just call this discipline. Getting your client into making deliberate and disciplined habits to move forward. Now, if any of this sounds scary to you, you're probably already doing it in your head, just so you know. Every day you're like, what do I really want? What do I need to do today? How do I get myself to do it? What do I want? What do I need to do today? How do I get myself to do it? You have this every day. In a coaching relationship, you're just getting paid to have that conversation with other people and then take them to the next level of performance, as we'll talk about. Okay, with that, I know I'm thrusting a lot of basics at you, but this is just the basics. We're like 20 minutes into this broadcast, so forgive me if I'm going too slow or too fast for you. We're literally like 20 or 30 minutes into this thing. Okay, so it's an influence process. It's centered around discovery, decision-making, and setting up deliberate habits or discipline for their progress and their growth. This is the basics of the coaching industry. I'll speak specifically to how we can have these conversations and how the model works, because you're going to have different types of conversations and you'll have different types of levers to pull to help your client do each of these things. And then you'll be doing it in the structure of what coaching typically looks like, which I'll get to right now. So what does that typically look like? Well, if you've never seen this coaching model from me, it's very basic. You got your one-to-one clients. Well, don't worry. Yes, we will talk about how do you find these clients, get these clients, build your business. That's in this 3 days of training with you, but just stick with me for now. You got one-to-one clients. Then you got your cohort clients. I'll just call this your cohort groups. Cohort means it's a group you're going to take through in a specific period of time through your coaching program. So this might be you take a group through just, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, but it's a specific group. That group starts on one day, ends on one day. That's a cohort-based coaching group. Okay. Then you've got what is more what I would just call open membership. Open membership. Okay, we'll talk through some more of these this afternoon, but to get the idea, it's like, okay, you're gonna have some people, you're gonna have those influence conversations with, they'll be one-on-one. You'll have some people you're doing a group with, start to finish. This is a small group, these cohorts, usually smaller group. These cohort groups, usually, these are like anywhere between 6 to 30 people. Some people do bigger, but I usually tell people, like, if you're going to do a cohort group and you want impact, keep it in that 6 to 30, charge high, put everybody else into your open membership. What does an open membership means? It means it's more like what I'm doing with you right now. It's more like teaching, then you'll do Q&A in like a Zoom, right? But anyone can start anytime. So they can jump in any week or any month because your influence process is more open. So these tend to become more structured to less structured, more structured to less structured. Okay, so that's what you're working through. More structure, less structure, so that anyone can come in anytime. This is more of a combination of teaching, Q&A, and coaching, because it's a big group, right? You might have a couple hundred people here, okay? So that would be a larger membership base where you're kind of teaching, and then you're pulling up people and doing coaching. We'll talk through group coaching later on as well. So that's like a typical model that you see people doing. But I share this right off the bat because a lot of people, a lot of coaches, they think they have to do everything else. Because what are they telling you? Well, you should also write books. You should also do courses. You should also do sponsors. You should also do newsletters. You should also do podcasts. You should also run ads. You should also do funnels. And what it ends up being is now you've got so many things that you are creating and maintaining. Who has felt overwhelmed in the last year of your business? Anyone? You're offering like 10 different things. You have 6 different courses, 4 different memberships, 3 different PDFs, 14 different, like the industry has gotten hoodwinked into doing everything except coaching. It's like they made you creators, influencers, podcasters, newsletters, bloggers. They made you advertising. They made you to do, like, you're running 17 different businesses. But I know coaches all day long, just having a couple clients, just having one cohort group a year, just having a monthly open membership, and they're earning 6 and 7 figures, laughing at everybody else who's so overwhelmed, hating their life. Now, this is not me judging how much you should do. My question framing for you was, are you overwhelmed by it? My second question and framing is, are you earning what you want to be earning? A lot of our industry is not earning what they want. And everyone says it's because their process is bad or their certification is bad or, something. No, what's bad is what's outside your front door and what's on your phone. The distractions that we're all fighting every single day that don't make us feel good. You got into this because you want to make a difference in people's lives. But instead, you just started consuming other people's lives. You say it again. You got in this because you wanted to make a difference in other people's lives. But instead, you got sucked into consuming other people's lives. Scrolling, watching, constantly pulled to social media. It's become an addiction for people. And in that addiction, it's hard to find clarity. In that addiction, it's hard to decide what you want to do for your own art, for your own progress, for your own life. And I think as you started consuming everybody else in the creator economy, you saw what they were doing. I have friends all the time like, Brendan, how do you do it all? I'm like, I have a team. When I started, I did this. I basically did, the beginning of my career, for those who don't know my story, I began by writing a book. I eventually launched a course and did coaching. And it was kind of all the same. It was all in the same year and a half that I was writing book, launching course, doing one-to-one clients. And I was awful at all of it. Has anyone ever been bad at your beginning, but you still thank God for your beginning? So I'm grateful from the beginning. Most people don't earn more, not because of, it's hard, not because it's, scary or there's fear. Most people are just embarrassed to be seen starting small. They're terrified to do a Zoom and only 5 people show up. I'm like, but 5 people showed up. Make a difference for them. Period. Oh, well, I don't want to do this. Only 3 people watch the video. So what? You learned to do a video. Well, I don't want to try this because, what if no one comes to our webpage? So what? You learned to build a webpage. Like, get in motion is usually the answer. But here's what happens in our modern economy. Because you have access to everybody's life, you see what Brendan does. You see what this person does, and you see them towards the part where it's like, wait, they're running 8-figure businesses now. They could do all this. They got a team of dozens of people, right? Oh, I want to do it like, this person does it. I want to do it like Gary does it. Well, Gary's got an ad agency and dozens of employees. It doesn't mean he didn't start just like we all do, but I'm just saying, like, sometimes we're comparing ourselves to people who are so far out there and we're trying to do everything. And most people in coaching, I'm like, this is a 7-figure model. This is just 7-figure model right here. Social media, email, and delivering these 3 things is a 7-figure model. If you want to add on lots of other things, that's great. The more you add on, it might attract more people. Cool. But a lot of people are attracting people and they're doing everything, but they're not really attracting anybody. And they're kind of not putting anybody in any offerings. And all of a sudden they're not selling anything. And they're like, I'm very busy, but I'm making no money. And so I bring this up because we're going to talk through this later today about breaking down some of the finances of some of this. And we'll do this throughout the next couple of days. So you kind of understand like what's good or where to start. But I'm also here, if you don't mind, to just share with you, maybe you could keep it simple to start. I don't know, some people resonate with that. Not everyone likes it because they want to be highly ambitious, which we'll talk about your ambition. But, we get so hooked when we forget, just like if we just focused on this, one-on-one clients, sometimes it's like, oh, this can be the thing. A new client. I mean, what if you got, 5 clients at $500 a session? Well, that's what? 5 clients, 500 a session, 4 times a month. So weekly in this model. So it's $2,000. That's $10K a month with 5 people. Is that right? Sounds about right in my head. Yeah. So we're not talking crazy stuff here. And so some people, they're doing a lot of things. I have friends right now who spend all month long making YouTube videos. And big shout out to everyone here thanking you. Apparently, we're about to hit 1 million subscribers on YouTube. If you don't subscribe on me on YouTube yet, please go do that today. That would mean awesome. That would just be awesome. I'd appreciate that. But I have a friend who does YouTube. I mean, it's like 24/7 in his life. And, he runs Google ads on it. He's not even making $10,000 a month. And this is all he does all the time. Did you know most creators earn less than the average career person in their 3rd year of a career in the US? And so we have a lot of creators who are like expending all their creativity and all their genius, and they're not earning anything. And I'm like, you get 1 client. This is not a lot, right? This is nothing crazy. And you can see these numbers change. Okay, get 10, double the numbers. If you get 10 clients a month, guess what? 10 clients a month, $500 a session over the course of the month. Now we're at $20,000. We're at over $250,000 a year. Calling 2 people a day. That's 10 clients, right? You call them 2 people a day. That's it. You coach a person. If the coaching sessions are once a week, you just call 2 people a day. Maybe you start your morning, you do your coaching calls, you have your afternoon with your whole family, or vice versa. It's 2 people a day. You can do that. But most people, they'll spend all day or 3 or 4 hours a day. You know what most people are doing? They're spending 3 to 4 hours on social media and TV a day. I'm like, what if you just turned 2 of those hours into a conversation and you got paid for it? Like, put down the phone and put your earbuds in and talk to your client and make money. Stop scrolling, start serving. And then we can change your life forever. I know this is very basic, and I know many of you are going to get all wrapped up in this right now because you think it's about a specific money number. That's not what it's about. As many of you know, I also don't teach to charge by the session. I'm just giving an example here, an illustration. I don't believe in charging by the session. I believe you sell a coaching package. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, what your program and offering is. I'm just letting you all know, like, for a lot of people, especially right now, $10,000 extra a month is unbelievable. And I'm like, well, that's just 5 people. You talk to 1 person a day, 1 person a day, and we're there. We're not talking about craziness here. I'm not asking you to spend 14 hours to make a video. I'm asking you to talk to a person and make a difference with them as a coaching client. So we'll come back to the models here later throughout these couple of days. As I shared earlier, I want to go back to a conversation about what coaching is and the levers you can pull to help somebody really make a difference, how you can help them shift and help them change. And so we're going to talk about some of the levers in coaching. I'm going to do this as a little bit, hopefully helping you, doing a little life coaching with you today and see if it serves you in some way so you can see that you can make a difference in other people's lives too. Even though this is more of me teaching than coaching, obviously, because we have so many people here today. So I'll work through a couple different ideas. And for those who are very experienced, the coaches here are very experienced, you're going to love this next section because you might be missing a few levers with your clients, and that's why they're not paying more. Or you might be missing a few of these levers that you can pull in human psychology, and that's why they're kind of not staying with you for the next sessions. Maybe they hired you and you sold them, 4, 6, 8, 12 sessions. And you're trying to get them to re-up and stay with you the rest of the year, but they're not. It's probably because you're not pulling on one of these levers strong enough. So this next section will feel very life coaching or personal development or human behavior change for some of you. I want you to wake up and be excited about going to work. I know that sounds so crazy to people, but I know a lot of creators are like, oh, I gotta go shoot that video today. And it's like, oh, you have a task and that's why you're miserable. You wake up each day, there's all these tasks. But if all these tasks are happening every day and there's no mission, and more importantly, I believe, no career around it, then guess what? You're just kind of like, why am I even doing this? There's no identity to it. There's no meaning to it. And what I love about the word career, and I know not everybody agrees with this, but what I love about the word career, even though most people think of coaching as just a skill, and we'll talk about the skills here in a moment, so stick with me. I love the skill of it, and you can learn the skill, and you can take the skill and you can apply it and do coaching with your family, with your friends, with your clients. Many of you already have jobs. You can do coaching at your job. Obviously, these conversations, if you're a good manager or leader, you're doing this. If you're not having conversations about discovery, decision-making, and discipline with your customers, your clients, or your team, you're not really leading. You're just not. You're just kind of talking or espousing. But what's important, and the reason I bring this up, is because I think a lot of people get in that place where they really do feel that they have a lot of tasks and no career anymore. I think the number one failure of all these, money bros or get rich quick people online, or these people who are trying to suck you into entrepreneurship, which, by the way, I'm an entrepreneur and I love. But the way they're going about it is make money, do these tasks, you'll be rich. And I'm here to say that too many days where you just feel like you're doing tasks and you don't have a career anymore, you feel lost. Does anyone resonate? Like when you're just kind of getting up and doing marketing each day and it doesn't feel like a career, there's no sense of self-pride in the effort. There's no sense of joy or fulfillment. You don't even see yourself as building skill. Because when you join a company and you have a career, right, you develop skills by on-the-job training, by taking on projects, by, career development. You're developing yourself. You're getting better by being part of something. That's the power of a career. Well, you have to remind yourself, even when you're solo, oh, I want that. And here's the number one reason I use the word career versus just skill. Because all my friends who started at the same time as me, who saw coaching as like a side hustle or just a task, even though I was doing it as a side hustle, and even though I was doing it as a task, because they didn't see it as a career, they didn't ever care about their personal brand or reputation. They were just making web pages and making sales, man. There was no career. So they never became good at it. They never developed the skill, but also they never got the reputation. But trust me, if you're a coach, you're going to have a reputation. I mean, I don't remember the last time I went to try to get a one-to-one coaching client. They all happen by referrals now because I saw it as a career. Oh, Brendan, he's a high performance coach. Oh, that's his career, right? Have you ever seen me talk about myself? If we were at a party, I'd describe myself as a writer, a coach, and a trainer. And that is sort of in my order of passion. I love to write. I love to coach. I love to teach. And for me on the coaching part, I was so scared to do it because I didn't think I had the expertise. But here's the reason I started. Because I knew in every career you ever take on, you suck your first year on the job. Isn't it true? When you start a new career, when you go get hired by a company, isn't it true? Everyone knows you're just starting. You're the new guy. You're the new lady. You're new. And so you give yourself grace, even though there's pressure, even though you might feel stressed, you're like, oh, I'm going to be at this company for years. I'm going to get better. I'm going to develop skill. But most people in our industry, they jump in, they try to make a landing page, and they get frustrated and they quit because the task is disconnected from the career. Does this help? If your day is tasks and it's disconnected from career and mission, no wonder you're not completing your tasks. Who's had a long list of to-dos, but you didn't do them? Yeah, you know why? Because all you see is implementing tasks each day. And that makes the human feel like a robot. And you're like, ugh, that's not really motivating. Your identity is not into it in any way. There's no heart into it. There's no soul. There's no mission. So that's what I'm going to keep coming back to, making a difference in this process today. And I hope you can hear my languaging being different. I'm very, very, very exhausted of the online marketers and the money bros out there who are all about get rich quick. And none of them actually talk about making a difference in people's lives. None of them actually think about the session, the art in the session, the care, the compassion, the challenge, that process of figuring through that's so beautiful with the client. They're not even talking about that. They're just like, teaching you to sell. And there's no art. There's no mission. There's no soul. And I don't know what happened with our industry, but it's bad now. And I know you've been on these webinars or you've seen these things or watch these other people do challenges and you're like, do they even care about people? If it's a career, you care about people. If it's a mission, you care about people. If it's contribution, you care about people. Because let me break down a little bit more of what's going to happen in these coaching conversations so you can see that come to light. And then I'll talk about some of those levers that you can push as we go through here, okay? Okay, so here's a nice way I think about a coaching conversation. Let's just put this up here. Coaching conversations. For those who are just wanting the models and the marketing, don't worry, we get to that in these 3 days together. But I also think this is so neglected that the funny thing is, marketing is not your competitive advantage anymore. Actually being able to do coaching is, because your reputation builds, because your referrals build, because people stay with you longer. You don't have to do marketing 24/7 all day long, hoping to get a client. You get a client, you serve them well, you get 3 or 4 of their friends from work or from their business or from their other referrals. And it's like, oh, I got good at this. And that built my wealth. You all think my landing pages built my wealth? AI builds landing pages now. It's a commodity. It's like, it's not the thing anymore. What the thing is can you make the difference? Can you have the influence with the person? And I really believe, how many of you believe that having actual impact and influence with humans is going to become a higher price service in the future with AI? Like, y'all can go chat with ChatGPT right now, all day long. But what people are going to pay for is more of that one-to-one experience. It's going to become more and more valuable. Those small groups are going to be more and more valuable. I've never been more bullish about your ability to build real wealth in the industry than when I saw AI 4 years ago. When I saw the first inkling of what AI could be, and I did this with Google before OpenAI launched, and I learned a lot about what was possible, and I got very excited. And we did, they wanted to do a very large project with me because I have more life coaching, training, teaching, and audios than anybody in the industry. And the ability to feed that into an AI was something they were all coming after me for. And as soon as that started happening, I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome for everyone's career. Your career is about to build more momentum and wealth with AI than you could have ever fathomed. And if you're scared of AI, I'm here to tell you, don't worry about it. Because when you do this well with people, everything shifts internally for them. It's not just intellectual. It's a real connection with the real person. I know AI is going to get so good that it's even better. I actually believe, this year, AI digitally will be better as a therapist, as a coach in lots of different fields. Lawyer, medical professional, in lots of things. AI is already outscoring on professional competency tests, is already outscoring humans. It's already outscoring humans in IQ. It's already outscoring humans in almost every measure. It's only going to get 10 times more advanced in the next 6 months, and then another 100 times more advanced in the next 6 months. So we don't even understand or comprehend. But while AI will go from version to version to version and 10x and 10x, humans, you and me, we're still human 1.0. And so this value that we have with each other is different. I want you to be bullish about your wealth, about your opportunities, about your life right now. Things are about to get exciting. And for those who are like, oh, I'm too late. What do you mean? Nothing has even started yet. Every day, if you ever listen to me teach in Growth Day, every day is a great day to grow. This day, literally, I think on today's Daily Fire, I was talking about the Back to the Future moment. And the idea that all of us understand that, oh, if I went back in time, I'd have to be careful, because if I saw myself back in time, or I saw other people I related with, and I made one small change, one different conversation, one different decision, my whole future could be different. Well, guess what? You all know that, right? That's the Back to the Future idea. It's like, oh, if I go back, I got to be careful, because if I make one change, it could be a butterfly effect through the rest of my life, through other people's lives. If I go back in time, I make one decision, maybe I wouldn't even be alive today. If I go back in time and I change one decision, maybe I'd be with a different person, or be in different health, or I would have chose a different thing. Well, we all understand that that is true if we went back and made one small change. Well, guess what today is? The same opportunity. Today's that exact same opportunity. Today is that day to make that one small change that becomes the ripple effect and the future changer for you. How exciting is that? When you get that, you're like, oh, I can start this now? I think it's a very different way of thinking about the world. Everyone's so scared of AI. I'm like, we're at the dawn. We're at chapter 1. You're not too late. Some of you, listen, you feel too late, like, oh, I should have started a newsletter back in 2006 when Brendan told me to. There's lots of people starting newsletters now. I should have started podcasts back in 2007 when Brendan told me to. Lots of people are starting podcasts today. I should have started on social media. Do you know how many people gained millions of fans from scratch in the last 2 years? How many people made millions of dollars starting from scratch in the last 2 years? It's stunning. So please don't get in this place of like, oh, I'm too late. Because in having this industry develop the way it has, with some of these organizations that come out and convince you can't do it, so many people waited to have good conversations with people that could have changed their lives forever. I want you to having more coaching conversations. So what's a coaching conversation look like? Well, I'm going to draw out poorly the coaching coin, and I'll talk about it. Okay, we're just going to call this the coaching coin. And then I'll tell you some levers that you always have in coaching. Okay, that is the worst picture. It looks even more funny on the screen. I don't know why. It must be the angle of the TV. It looks like I'm drawing everything down. Maybe I am. Okay, there's two sides to the coaching coin. The side that most people know about is the compassion side. Who thinks we need more compassion in society right now? Like our society has lost the ability to have compassionate conversations, to listen to people, to ask them questions, to not lead them with our questions, but to rather genuinely listen, to hear, to reflect back, to validate, to comprehend, to cheer them on, to hold space. I think one of the reasons to become a life coach is you learn how to have more compassion. If I can say any of the unintended effects of becoming a life coach is I became a better person in these last 2 decades. Like every year, I feel like I'm becoming a better person because I'm hearing so many people's stories of struggle. I'm hearing how much people really do want to try and work through things, but life gets in the way, or their child gets sick, or somebody passes away, and life's hard. And I think one of the reasons that people are so mean online is they're not having any compassionate conversations with anybody. They're, posting and tweeting and commenting. But I can share this with you. And I just shared this with the podcaster. It really upset him. But he's like, I don't understand why I'm not getting paid more. I said, have you ever helped a person change over the course of a year? He goes, well, yeah, my audience all the time. I go, no, I mean, Have you ever worked with a person? Have you ever actually worked with a human, one person? Have you ever actually worked with one person on human behavior change for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? You know what the shock was? This person realized he's never worked with anyone on human behavior change in his entire career. He's 5 years in. He's never worked with one person for even 6 months. Ever. And he's wondering why he lacks confidence. He's wondering why he's not getting paid more. He's wondering when he rolled out a mastermind, no one signed up. I'm like, you don't know how to affect people's lives. If you've never worked with somebody for several months, you don't know anything about human behavior. You know yourself. You know your biases, you know what books you've read, but until you've been into actual conversations with people, you don't know. You're teaching from what you've heard on other people's podcasts, not what you've done in working with other humans. Who understands what I'm saying? The value that you will have when you become a life coach and you have more of these conversations, it will make you a better person, but it will make you more valued in the marketplace. Trust that. Why? Well, first and foremost, you'll develop compassion. A lot of us don't know how to demonstrate compassion. A lot of us don't know how to listen to compassion. A lot of us aren't even compassionate with ourselves. And so as we look at your brand online, or we listen to your podcast, or we read your newsletters, it's lacking compassion because you're doing what they're telling you to do tactically to get sales and subscribers and fans and followers, but there's no heart. Everyone always asks me, Brendan, what's the big difference between somebody who gets millions of fans and somebody who doesn't? And I always say the same thing: heart, compassion, empathy. They actually care. Other people, now they might also get that for self-demonstration, taking off their clothes, arguing, being controversial, talking about politics. But guess what? They're never here in 3 and 5 years. They had their flash in the pan and they're gone. They're never here in 3 to 5 years because it wasn't a mission. They're never here in 3 to 5 years because it wasn't a career. They're never here in 3 to 5 years because everyone knew they were a jokester and now they're broke. And I say that with deep judgment and no compassion. Okay, I think it's important to hear me. The more coaching conversations you actually have with people, the more valuable you become in the marketplace, the more clear it is you have compassion. And so what's happening in a life coaching conversation? Everyone says, what am I doing in this thing? I'm like, oh, well, there's always compassion, right? You're meeting the client to where they're at, which is important. But see, there's this middle part of a coin, the actual metal, the stuff that holds it all together, right? What a coin really is, because compassion is one side of it. But there's the stuff in the middle that really matters. I'm going to come to that in a minute. The other side of coaching is challenge. So this makes an extreme difference between traditional therapy and coaching. Coaching is way more into challenge, way more into the push. I always tell people this all the time. You are paid to push. You're not paid to listen. You're not paid to empathize. You're paid to push. People hire a coach because they want that move into discovery, decision-making, and discipline, and they're willing to be challenged. Like, we don't have to tiptoe around the challenge. They want the challenge. You pre-frame the challenge. You sell the challenge. You excite by the challenge. This is the stuff. If you love working with people, you love the challenge. You might use different words. Well, I just want them to help them, break through. Okay, that's challenging. I want them to help them get into their flow state, Brendan. Have you studied psychological flow? Psychological flow demands challenging oneself beyond one's current capabilities, just far enough that they're stretched, fully engaged in the process. So challenge is everything. If I could coach you right now, I would say, here's your answer for why you're struggling in life. You're not giving yourself enough compassion and you're not challenging yourself appropriately. I'm not saying not challenge yourself enough. I'm saying appropriately, because sometimes you challenge yourself and it's unrealistic. It's shaming yourself. It's beating yourself up. It's punishing yourself. It's being rude to yourself. That's not the challenge we're talking about. We're not here to be military style challenging and berating from the old memes of the 1960s Army. That's not what we're about. And even in that field of military leadership, that's not the approach anymore. We all understand that you can challenge somebody appropriately by challenging how they show up for themselves and other people, by holding them to account for their character, by holding them to account on what they said they were going to do. How many of you feel like you maybe challenge yourself, but you also wreck yourself? Okay. Like you challenge yourself so much that you challenge yourself right into burnout. Well, that's also not healthy. And so you can challenge people appropriately, or you don't know how. One of the reasons to take a life coaching course or get a curriculum or join a program or get a certification is to learn the nuance of how to do that. I'm going to give you some levers today, obviously, about this. I think it's really important to understand that there's an art to this. Just like if you ever wanted to become a good negotiator, you take a negotiation course. Well, if you want to become a good life coach, I'd say take a life coaching course. And the best of them just give you new skill sets to do these two things. How do you compassionately question, listen, and work through challenge? And how do you challenge people to hold them accountable, to question their thinking, to help them see things from a different perspective, and to also develop their own sense of self-reliance and self-responsibility to change. So this is part of the coin here. And I talk about, there's this middle thing. Well, this middle thing, if you can read it here, let me see, can you read this? Yeah, curriculum. You can read that. It says curriculum. Okay, so what is a coaching conversation? A coaching conversation is always built around a specific curriculum. That's your process, right? That's your framework. That's what is this coaching program about? This is the outcomes of the coaching. And then once you're in the conversation, once you're actually in the conversation, now we're going to be listening compassionately and challenging. Listening, meeting them with compassion and challenge. And what I want this to feel like, if you're doing a great job, and we give lots of tactics for this, but you want your coaching to feel like this. You want it to be a lot of variability in a coaching session. See, a coaching session comes from all this. That's what, when you hear about coaching sessions, this is what people are doing. Okay, they've got a curriculum, if they're good. Then in that curriculum, they're meeting the client where they're at, demonstrating, showing, listening, having compassion, and challenging that client. Now, here's the truth about life. This is life too. If you're not getting ahead in your life, you got no curriculum. You're not working a plan. He said it. It's true. If you're not getting ahead in life, you got no curriculum. You got no plan. You're not working the plan. You're being too hard on yourself, and you're not recognizing your own strengths and honoring yourself, and you're not pushing yourself appropriately for your own motivational drive and your results. Right? This is true in our own lives, and this is what we're doing in sessions too. So if you're ever like, what does a great coach do? They got a better quality curriculum that's more outcome driven, and they have higher art and skill in compassionate and challenging conversation. Okay? So let me say it again. What makes the difference between people in terms of their skill and usually their wealth as a life coach is their level of curriculum and their art and skill in compassionate and challenging conversations. What are we trying to do with our compassion and our challenge? I shared that earlier. What we're trying to do is, in that process, open up discovery, self-discovery, decide what to do next and what's more healthy for them, and move them into disciplined and deliberate habits for progress and growth. Okay, you see some of this coming together now? Cool. Okay. Thank you guys for your patience. I'm learning to use this board too. Okay. So I talked about some levers that we can pull in these conversations. Let's just call these, for lack of a better term, psychological levers. Okay, psychological levers that can help people change, that you can use in your coaching sessions. Again, I'm going to come back to some of the topics we're talking about today. This is just day one, y'all. I'm trying to get a lot out on day one so we can move quickly. You liking this? We having a good time? I see you. I'm a real person in a real room by myself. Well, actually, I got one person in here with me, Patricia, and I'm in a glass box in a vineyard in Northern California. So that's the full context if it looks weird. That is a real background. Okay. So today we're going to talk about psychological levers that you can use in coaching sessions, but I think you might find this very valuable for yourself as well. A lot of us, I think, struggle with our own mindset. We struggle to be motivated. We struggle to be good in relationships. We struggle with our own mood and our own energy and our own health. And some days, because of that struggle, we don't feel like we're enjoying it or fulfilled. So I'm going to come back to two themes with you in your psychological levers here in a little bit. Enjoyment and fulfillment. Like if I could increase your enjoyment of life and help you feel more fulfilled, would that be a worthwhile endeavor? Well, that's part of coaching, you know? It's like, gosh, this might be the season and the time of your life that you just decide, I'm going to enjoy life more. When I began as a coach, I was so scared because I didn't think I knew psychology enough. I didn't need to know psychology enough. I needed to learn to sit with a client and be compassionate and challenging with them. If I could give you two super skills, those are the super skills: compassion and challenge. I mean, highest level of compassion and challenge skills, you have financial freedom for life. That's why learning to be a life coach is valuable for you, but it's also, you become a better mom, you become a better dad, you become a better business leader. It's like super skill stuff. I didn't think I had it, but once I got into it and I had more of these conversations, I started learning more of the levers that we could pull with people. I think they'll be basic to you, but hopefully we can pull them a little bit for you today here too, and that will serve you. Okay. So a couple of different levers that I think about when I'm coaching. Okay. First lever I'm always thinking about is this person's level of vision and ambition. If you've ever studied my work before, you hear the value of these two things, and you understand the value of tapping back into people's ambition. A lot of people need life coaching because they need to learn to allow ambition back in. They've lost their ambitions. They've lost their drive. They've lost their edge. They've lost a vision for a better future because they got down and discouraged yesterday, last month, last year, 5 years in a row. They're discouraged. And sometimes it's amazing that you find out that super skill of compassion. They're like, just that moves them. Like they haven't gotten to talk through their discouragement. They're down, they're bummed. They don't have a disorder, right? They don't have a mental disorder. They don't need a therapist. They're literally just discouraged. And they forgot what their goals were. They took their eyes off what was important to them in life, and they just literally need reminders about that. They literally need a person to go, hey, last week you told me this was important to you. How's that going? Hey, sounds like you feel a little frustrated. What's happening there? Hey, and it's just about connecting with your client about where they're at. But this is a lever. And so I'm going to bring up two things here again. I'm just going to put the coin back over here. Compassion and challenge, so I can refer to it easily on one board. Compassion and challenge. Okay. Most people do not have this sufficient enough to work the day disciplined. They don't have it sufficient enough to be driven. They don't have it sufficient enough to be motivated. they have lost the connection with their future. They have lost a clear vision. And because they're disconnected from that future vision, today, they scroll for 3 hours on Instagram. Today, they say they're going to start something, but they don't even open up the computer. Today, they say they're going to make the shift, but they don't. They're disconnected from the vision. And many people, and the reason I put these two together when I teach is because many people have a vision, but it's too small for their life. Their vision is trying to be who their mom wanted them to be a decade ago. Their vision is to start the thing and survive, not thrive. Their vision is, truthfully, playing small because they still think of themselves as small. They still think of themselves as just beginning. So they're stuck in some old story or paradigm of a prior personality or life or chapter. And their vision is like getting through the day, or their vision is making, this amount of money when they're competent and capable enough to make more. And so they keep diminishing themselves and their ambition isn't there anymore. They don't flex their vision. They don't talk about their vision. It's not front of mind. And so they're distracted because where there is no vision, people perish. The reason that's so true and so biblical is because it's a matter of life and death for people. When we cannot see clearly, of course, we're going to wander around in the dark. And so a lot of people lack this. Now, to get more of this, we have different levers we can pull. Usually when I teach this, I like to remind people of the Seeking Clarity chapter in High Performance Habits and what we've learned working with so many people on this topic. You usually have different areas of vision and ambition in your life. Okay, different areas of vision and ambition in your life. I'll walk you through these, but again, these are levers you're meant to think about or listen for with your clients, but it's very valuable. One of the biggest ways to move somebody forward is to re-engage them in their vision, to make them do the work of talking it out, writing it out, thinking it out. It's why if you've ever gone to a seminar before, most personal development seminars, they give you a book or a guide or a slide or something, and you're thinking about your goals. You're thinking about what's next. You're thinking about what you want for your life. You're thinking about not living an average life. You're thinking about an extraordinary life. That's the language we all use as coaches. Why is it you just kind of you're thinking this way when you could have extraordinary? You just forgot you could have extraordinary because you got discouraged. You got distracted from your vision. You forgot about building your life. You're consuming everybody else's life. And when we can get people back in that vision, it's like a rattle for them, right? Some people need to be rattled. I hope you get rattled a lot in life. I hope you keep discovering stuff about yourself. It's like epiphanies and ahas. And sometimes the rattle feels good, sometimes it doesn't. But I'm glad that the challenge came into your life and you're like, oh, wow, I got to think about that one. And for most people starting in our industry, their ambition is way too low. I don't like that our industry has gotten so much about quick money, easy button stuff, that most people in our industry are not thinking about it, at least as a part-time career to earn six figures. This is a real career, a real industry. It's globally growing, and achieving a six-figure career is not a crazy idea anymore. It was harder 20 years ago, but I had a six-figure career doing it 20 years ago. This is so much easier. The tool sets, the ability to reach people, the courses, the curriculums, the certifications, it's like too many people are thinking small. They're thinking, oh, I need to make $500 more for my family. If you think you only need to make $500 more for your family, we got to question your ambition, your vision for your family. And I don't say that in any way disparaging of people. I say that as a compassionate challenge. I want you to have a bigger vision for your family. But we have a lot of people trying to sell, Well, make a $500, make $1,000 more. And I know that can change lives. For those who don't know my story, I grew up two parents struggling and fighting through with full-time jobs and tons of night shifts and tons of travel to raise us four kids. My dad worked at the DMV and my mom was a secretary at the hospital. And working full-time, they could barely provide for us four kids. Somehow they did, partially because they just saved. They saved all the time, But certainly we didn't have what other kids had at school. And it was something that I didn't even know. I didn't realize until it was time really we moved to a new town. We moved from a little town that was like maybe 2,000 people to a bigger town. It had like 38,000 or 40,000 people. And I thought everyone there was like, oh, wow, this is different. Kids had cars. It was a very different universe for us. And we went from a place of, at that time, was probably below the poverty line to starting to improve. But I didn't really understand any wealth until I went to college, where I worked 3 full-time jobs to pay. And I mean, literally, I had 3 full-time jobs in college. All I did was work, study, sleep a couple hours a night. And it was hard. And what I learned in that process, as much as I would love to say, I just, was trying to survive. I can be honest with myself. And I know many of you can be honest with yourself too. There's parts in your life when you weren't earning barely anything and you got comfortable with that. And you got disconnected from a bigger vision or ambition for you or your family. And I say that with the utmost respect, how hard it is to make a living. At the same time, with extraordinary experience saying, you can earn real wealth in life. But it does take a whole other level of commitment and a whole level of learning and application that most people don't want to do. And I can also say about that myself, I didn't want to do it. Even early on when I had vision, how many of you have been thinking about becoming a 7-figure earner for a long time? But that vision is so distant, and once in a while you think about it, and then you go back to regular life. And the vision isn't there, the ambition isn't there. It takes a lot of connecting to vision and ambition. Every day I got to look at my vision boards, my goal sheets, my high performance planner, like every day, still to this point, to motivate myself just to maintain what I built, let alone to keep building into an extraordinary future of contribution. So I'm here to say we get disconnected from this. And I'm here to say most of you probably playing small in your ambition in the life coaching industry because you feel torn apart. Do you know when you play small? Is often when you're torn apart. That's when most people play small. They play small because they're torn apart in a million different directions. That's why I was sharing earlier, where most of our industry, I was like, oh, our industry could earn so much more if they were focused on earning at least 6 figures as a coach to start. Then they ventured out into books, courses, sponsors, newsletters, podcasts, ads, funnels, and selling 50 other things of swag, books. Listen, I know I'm preaching, but look, I sell stuff. I got stuff, right? I got swag. I got hundreds of offers, but I'm also 20 years in. At the beginning, I did 3 things at the beginning. I was not torn apart. I was not dissipating my energy into 50 directions. I was focused because I had vision. I'm going to become a successful writer and coach. I'm going to earn 7 figures as a writer and a coach. That vision and that simplicity of the vision was important. I have a friend who, no joke, was a realtor for 20 years and stumbled upon a way of serving better and ultimately became a billionaire. And his story sounds impossible until you hear that's all he did was that field, that industry, serving people. And I think that might be something that shifts for people. And often in my life coaching sessions where I'm challenging and meeting people compassionately, in this area alone as a lever, it's extraordinary. In fact, if you're listening closely and you want to take some notes preparing for tomorrow, one of the things I'll do in sessions where I'm going to sell the client is I'll spend most of the time on vision and ambition and understanding what they're trying to really achieve in their life and always forcing myself to push them to level it up. Now, I said that very specifically because I have to challenge myself to push them because I'm a nice person. Has any of you ever been so nice that you don't have real conversations with people? Any nice people? Like, you know this about yourself? You're like so nice. You're like, you get all awkward and weird about challenging and pushing people. I don't know why I just did. Apparently this is the universal, grab your shirt is the universal awkward weird move. But somehow I was super awkward. And challenging somebody felt scary. And then I realized if I don't learn to challenge people as a life coach, I will never earn what I'm capable of. If I don't learn how to challenge, I can't have difficult conversations. I can't get paid more. I can't negotiate. I can't be honest with my wife. Like, that's a life skill. But what I learned in selling people into coaching was to really lean on this lever of making sure they're clear on their vision. So write the word clarity down. High clarity vision. Then on ambition, that the ambition was high enough for them. Meaning the vision was appropriate for what they wanted for their future. Not based on what they thought their capability was, or their parents were, or their life was, but based on what they wanted. Your drive each day should not be, can I? Because your can I is based on yesterday. It should be focused on, what do I want to build into? See, if you move each day just based on where you were, that's a small box. If you move each day on becoming, that's a big swath. That's a big move. And many of you, it's your turn to become a high-paid life coach. It's your turn to become pro. It's your turn to become focused. It's your turn to double down. It's a decision to go, oh, the turning point is I'm becoming, not acting from the past, but moving into the future, becoming more full, happy, fulfilled, driven, feeling like I'm myself, strong, confident, capable, loving, alive, connected. This is the movement towards the future. And so when I hear their vision and ambition, I'm listening. See, when I talk to other people, why do you want life coaching? Oh, well, got this struggle with my wife. You know, oh, well, tell me about that. What's the challenge? Well, she's like this, or, well, he's like that. And what I'm hearing is not clarity. And let me break this down for you. I'm listening. Am I hearing clarity, or am I hearing complaint? What am I hearing? Am I hearing clarity, or am I hearing complaint? And for those coaches out here who know this, you know how often people don't realize they're complaining, but they are. Matter of fact, if I could give anyone a life-changing move for this next month, just listen to how often you complain. Just listen. The problem with complaining is it's so socially acceptable. People love to pile on the complain train. So you start the complain train, your friend, your sister, your brother, they all hop on the complain train. You complain at work? Oh yeah. You complain about the weather? Oh yeah. You complain about this word? Oh yeah. Anything. Complain about politics? Oh yeah. You start the complain train, everybody jumps on the complain train. But the difference between being somebody's friend and being somebody's coach is when somebody starts a complain train and you're coach, you don't get on the train. You let them know, hey, you sound like you're on the complain train. Now you don't say it like that. I'm being a little facetious today, but you recognize the difference, especially in selling coaching. And we're going to come back to this a lot tomorrow and the next day. In selling coaching, in that first session, are they speaking from clarity or from complaint? When they are speaking from complaint, I know that's an easy sale. When someone is speaking from complaint, I know they're going to hire me because in that conversation of complaint, I'm just going to go like this. Boom. 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 I'm just going to move them right up. They're complaining. I'm going to question and ask questions with compassion to help them realize they don't have clarity. If they have clarity, to get that vision more clear, and then to level it up to an ambition that's appropriate for their future, not their past. And in what sounds like, if you would ever get to listen to me selling coaching, and remember, I coach billionaires now. It's like, how do you close a billionaire? It's the same way I closed people 15 years ago. They're usually this lever. I know I'm spending a long time on this lever, but you guys like this stuff? Or is this too dorky? I don't know if you all like this. I'm kind of dork out on this stuff. Sometimes I go too long. If it seems like I go too long on a topic, it's because I know this is a needle mover for you and you probably discount it. You might not think it is as important as it really is. So I'm cheering you on to understand this is huge in your life. This is huge in customers' life. I mean, I could do a 5-day seminar on this right here. It's so enormous of a topic. And I will also say it is the most convenient and straightforward path to getting somebody to sign up for your coaching. You just have to learn to discern the difference here. Most people, when they talk about their lives, they're kind of passively, aggressively complaining. They don't know how to describe what they want. So they talk about what they don't like. They can't describe themselves. You know, I'm excited to be fit and healthy. I can't wait to bench, 240. I can't wait or 225. I can't wait to do 100 squats. I can't wait to be able to climb up a building. I can't wait to be able to jump off that thing. I can't wait to be able to start this career. I can't wait to be able to do these things. Speaking to it from a place of excitement and enthusiasm means they have vision and ambition. Speaking from a place of, I don't know, I guess, my spouse said I should get some coaching. My boss said I should. I don't know, I've just been thinking about maybe I need some discipline. Oh, you maybe need some discipline. Tell me about that. Which, by the way, is one of the greatest for those who are good note takers here. Some of you I know are just doing your laundry as you're listening, or maybe you're ironing your shirt, or maybe you're driving too. But I hope that you listen in a way that you're a great student. We kind of forgot how to do that as a culture. So let me share what I just shared with you a second ago. I reflected back to what the client said. Oh, maybe you need some discipline. And then I added a simple phrase. Oh, tell me about that. You would be shocked how that simple phrase or that simple technique of reflect back what you just heard, then don't pass judgment, don't ask a question, just say, oh, tell me about that. That's it. I feel like I'm lacking some discipline, or I feel like maybe I need to get some discipline. Oh, tell me about that. And that's your move to listen to these two things. Y'all got it? Here, screenshot this. This is so important. Screenshot. I thought it was funny too. Okay. This is everything. Whatever question you ask, whatever conversation you're having, as you learn this little technique of listening to clarity and complaint, now you know where to go. See, we think we're always supposed to meet people with compassion. In fact, many people think you start with compassion, then go to challenge. No, these can go back and forth, right? Maybe I'll put a better, loop here. It's like you can go back and forth. But if somebody just said that to me in a sales conversation, what their friends will do is meet them at their compassion. What their friends will do will jump on the complaint. What new life coaches will do is go, oh yeah, that's so hard. Tell me more about that awful thing. And then later on, they work with me and they find out that's why I'm broke. I'm broke because the client is describing a complaint. And what I keep doing is validating the complaint, jumping on the complaint train and asking them to strengthen the friggin' rails by telling me more about the complaint. Did you know you don't need to know everybody's piece of every background of every complaint they have to actually move them forward? New coaches often do this too. A new coach will go, well, why? Why is that a problem? 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 And you know what that does for the client? It digs a downward spiral. It digs a hole for them. We studied personal development and we saw, a TED talk that said, start with why, except in coaching, why is often when they're in complaint, the beginning of a downward spiral in the session, not an upward spiral. You all see the nuance here? This is the difference between starting as a coach. You just think, I guess my job is to say, tell me more. I guess my job is to validate them. I guess my job is to, learn more about that problem. And this is why I don't like a lot of the organizations that sprung up in coaching, is because they perpetuated that idea. And those ideas actually take a coaching client into a downward spiral of further describing problem, versus positioning them into a solution mindset. And most importantly, framing vision and ambition. So what do we do as a coach? We go on the complain train. I like this complain train thing. I'm gonna have to remember this one. We get up on our complain train and we ride that thing to hell. Okay, that went too far. Maybe too far. Okay, we get on the complain train and they spend 40 minutes on the complain train where they describe the problem to you. And you've now expertly analyzed the problem. But guess what? You're not a therapist who might be blessed with working with this person for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, where you get to just draw this thing out as long as possible and make sure it tracks back to every single time they got confused about themselves in high school. Just joking. I had to do it for the coaches in the room. I think it's important to realize there is a level of hurtful listening. They won't tell you this in your starter courses. They'll just say, empathize, model, match, validate. I'm like, that's great training for a high schooler. But if you're trying to get someone to pay you money, no, those things I just told you, those are great for relationships. But remember, coaching is not a relationship. Coaching is an influence process. You got me? You're not trying to make out with your clients, please. All that validation, all that let's jump on the complain train, all that mirroring and matching, that's real nice, but not in coaching, certainly not in coaching sales. Now, all those are tools. We will talk about this. So for everyone who's highly offended with everything I've said, I'm doing it on purpose. I have 2 more days with you. I'm trying to set some context in a specific framework. So stick with me. I'm on point number 1, for Pete's sake. But hopefully you're hearing a little magic happening here. Oh, wait, I'm not going to jump on the complain train. And if they're in complain train, oh, that was cool. Did you see that? I need to learn how. Wow. Okay, look at that. New toys for Brendan. Okay. Okay. If they're on the complain train, I'm not going to jump on compassion in a sales call. If they're in the complain train on the sales call, I'm going to jump right to challenge. I'm going to hear they say, maybe I need to be more disciplined. I'm not getting my to-do list done. I'm falling behind at work. I'm just not feeling good about it. I can say, okay, I've heard that a lot. You know what I've heard that a lot from? I've heard that a lot from people who sometimes really need to work with a coach because maybe you're disconnected from your vision and the ambition that's appropriate for you right now at this stage of your life. Because let me ask this question. Have you also felt like you lost your drive? Now, do you notice that moved the conversation in a very different direction than say, tell me more about why you think you don't get things done. Well, I don't get things done because I suck. Tell me more about why you suck. Well, I suck because, my boss kind of thinks I'm a twerp. Oh, tell me more about you being a twerp. Where did that begin? Have you felt like a twerp before? Yeah, I was a twerp in high school and like, oh my, where are we going with this conversation? Are we allowed to say twerp anymore? I don't know. I think that's maybe rude. Anyway, I think you get the idea. I'm trying to have some fun with y'all because this is a different conversation. Again, these are psychological levers in coaching. But notice we moved them a different direction. We're trying to go from a low level of complaint and move them to a higher vantage point of life. Where? Vision, ambition. Soon as I can get them to connect with, oh, these things are happening, perhaps because I'm disconnected from vision and ambition. Because remember, we have the time of the coaching later to get to why. My context for you was we're in a sales conversation. I'm going to move them in a challenge, ask them and check them against vision and ambition, and then ask them directly a question that I think is relevant to what they just said. In this case, listen, if you're not getting your to-dos done, you don't need to blame a bunch of stuff. You've gotten disconnected from your future and you've lost the edge. And we can have a conversation about that. And it's like, whoa, who says that? Coaches say that, right? Coaches say that. It's a very different metaphor. But if we're talking about an athletic coach, as an example, a different metaphor. But if somebody comes to the sideline and says, coach, I don't know, I don't feel like throwing the ball. It's like, I hear you. Here's the ball. Now go throw the ball. Like the way to work through that is to go throw the ball. Sometimes we got to get them back on the field. Does that make sense? We can talk about all the reasons they don't want to be on the field, but sometimes it's, I need you on the field. And sometimes coaches, what you're doing is getting the person mentally back on the field, back in the arena, back at play, back connected to a higher ambition and drive. And that ends up being, quote unquote, the ninja jiu-jitsu move that positions you for a sale, that positions you as a valuable collaborator. And most importantly, could you all want to say this? This is going to sound terrible for many of you, but it's something I really had to work on in my coaching career. Because I'm the nice guy, Brendan, and most of my life is just compassion. I grew up in compassion because my parents were mistreated. I was mistreated. My siblings were mistreated. The place we grew up in was a very violent place. It was very difficult culture, and we were in poverty. It was like we all had compassion for each other. It sucked, right? So seeing my mother, who's an immigrant, being mistreated and misjudged, my dad working a job where he was spit at, even though he was a veteran of the US Marine Corps, I had to see a lot of crap growing up. So my default mode is to meet you in compassion. So please notice, I'm not saying you're only ever doing one or the other. This is dynamic. But what I had to learn, and I had to write, I literally had this on a card next to my computer for probably 3 years, my first 3 years as a coach. And it said this was literally the note. Brendan, you're not their friend. And it took me forever to understand the value of that. Why? Because I want to be their friend. I want to be everybody's friend. If you and I hang out, I want to be your friend. I want friends. I like friends. I got tons of friends. But being their friend is not why they're going to pay me. On a coaching call for selling, you need to demonstrate coaching. You need to move them. You need to lift them to a higher perspective, throw them into the future and show them they can, not dwell. They're ruminating enough on their problems. They don't need more rumination and dwelling time with you. That's not what you're paid for. Do not dwell on their problems too long. Don't dwell, don't dig, don't live there, don't descend in a downward spiral. Instead, ask, okay, let's move this thing forward. Let's move it to a higher order conversation in vision and ambition. Let's talk about what they needed to become, do, achieve, move towards, work through. Because again, we can work through things in the future, but at the point of complaint, it is not the time to become their friend. Oh yeah, the weather does suck. I'm not going to give you money because you validate my belief that the weather sucks. You know what? I hate when people talk about the weather. I don't want to be around it. It's annoying. It's like nothing more important than is going on in the world than talk about the weather every day. I'm like, it's not my thing. And even if you're like, but Brendan, I like the weather, that's fine. I'm not going to pay you to talk about the weather. Okay? So we're not going to pay you to talk with me about the things I already dwell on all the time, my complaints. I'm going to pay you because you're going to move me to a sunnier place. I'm going to pay you because you're not going to dwell there like all my friends dwell there, like my spouse dwells there, like the boss letting me be disengaged dwells there. No, you're going to hold me to a higher standard and vision. You're going to pay me because I'm going to move you to a higher place. I'm going to pay you because you're going to move me to a higher place. You're going to move me from here up into here. Okay. I know I'm belaboring this point, but I hope you like it. We'll do a little workshop here in a minute as we get into clarity. How do we know if they're in complaint or clarity? Well, they're speaking in a different way, and our job is to help them do that. So let me talk through a little bit of what a clarity chart might look like, or what we'll talk about in seeking clarity in our high performance work. People have vision and ambition against different things, and they don't always have it. If we can get them to have it across all four, that's powerful. But most people, they got one or the other. And so our job is to get them moving. So first, and what a lot of people struggle with, is they have a clear vision of self. Who are they? Who are they trying to become? What are their individual character traits, strengths, unique attributes that make them who they are and that can be amplified into becoming their best self? Do they know any of that? Are they aware? Self-awareness is the work of coaching. Are they aware of who they are, what they really think, feel, desire, need, dream of? This is the stuff of self-awareness, self-esteem, and self-actualization, right? All conversations that we talk a lot about in coaching. And of course, you know that too. But how about yourself? Are you clear about your own personal attributes that make you unique? Are you clear about your own personal attributes that make you strong? That's the question I have for you today. And so sometimes they're just lacking this vision and ambition for themselves. They have been beaten up by life, sometimes quite literally. They've had a lot of struggle, dramas, traumas, difficulties, challenges, and sometimes they think too low of themselves. Their vision is lacking, and their ambition for themselves is too low. And I would say this is, especially today, most people. While in the last 2 years, it has become extraordinarily popular in the podcast world to have narcissism experts come on, most people are not narcissistic. Narcissism is actually a very, very, very rare disorder, at least in terms of clinical narcissism. Okay. The reason it became popular is because we all became so self-righteous. How is it there's so many narcissistics? There's so many more narcissistics now because we individually became self-righteous and we like to go, she's a narcissist. She must be that brat. So we became more judgmental as a society. And as we become more judgmental, of course, everyone else must be a narcissist. Never, we don't have any of those tendencies, right? And so that's what happened, is that we became self-righteous as a society. We became judgmental as a society, and everybody must be only into themselves. Look at her Instagram, after all. And so a lot of people, that's actually not the reality. A lot of people, they lack a lot of self-awareness and a lot of self-esteem. And for those who actually do know what I'm talking about at the clinical level, narcissists don't actually think a lot about themselves. They actually dislike themselves quite a bit. There's actually a lower level of true, authentic esteem. And so what's usually the case is most people lack true, authentic esteem. And so outside this conversation that we all believe everyone's so superior and great, most people are actually struggling with themselves. Can you all agree that? Most people are struggling with themselves. They're struggling with our sense of discipline, our sense of capability, our sense of self-worth. Most people are struggling in this department. And they might not even know it. But when they talk about themselves, they're even complaining about themselves. You know, how many times have you heard someone around you say, I guess I'm just lazy. I'm lazy. I am lazy. I am fat. I am terrible. I am no good. I am too old. I am too late. It's like what they're attaching I am to is a negative statement. This is no good. This is really no good. And so you have to be aware of this. Why am I sharing this lever with you? Because again, I'm just teaching you how to listen for now about some of the conversations you have and what I think ultimately great life coaching does. Even though I'm not trying to certify you on this as a framework. I'm trying to share with you some of the distinctions in my 20 years doing this that gave me the edge to get the client or to really move the client and develop the reputation as this guy can really help with progress and momentum in your life. You should hire him. And it wasn't because of my background. It was because I knew how to listen for these things and push people through. Is that helpful? Now, I know at this stage, some people don't like the word push, especially when we're talking about self-awareness or some of the other issues we'll talk about. In pushing, let me share this with you. Remember, coaching is an influence process. It's back and forth. It's very dynamic. And in that pushing, what I'm really doing is I'm pushing the client to generate options for themselves. That's what coaching is versus consulting. So if I'm consulting, I'm probably going to tell them the solution. If I'm coaching, I'm going to ask for ideas, options. We're trying to brainstorm and generate options for them to find the next right action of integrity for themselves, right? So we are generating options. So when I'm saying push, I'm not pushing them to an answer. I'm pushing them to generate. Does that make sense? I'm getting them to generate options, generate ideas, generate new perspective. Okay. So with that disclaimer, let's move through this clarity. So you gotta have some clarity on self. Okay. We also have clarity on our social relationships. This is your social relationships, your spouse, your partner, your kids, your team, your audience. How do you want to be in relationship in life? Now, I love this one. Can I tell you how easy of a layup this is for you to build your business and for you to make a difference in people's lives? Most people's social relationships, expectations, their vision, their ambition in their social relationship is actually stuck in complaint. They complain about their spouse, they complain about their kids, they complain about their team. I'm like, yes, getting paid, making it. Okay, just making sure you're still here. You still here? Just check it. Just seeing the peoples. Okay. I think it's so funny to me. I'm like, oh, it's so easy to win because most people, they don't know how to talk about their spouse in a loving, compassionate, generous way. Instead, you know what? He never takes out the garbage. She never does this. He never does that. They don't do this. And they don't even realize they're in this loop. And they used to expect something from their spouse, but now they don't even expect anything from their spouse anymore, except problems. They used to be excited to hire their team. And now all they do is say, the team's holding me back. The team troubles me. And often coaching is there. It's in that complaint again. Now notice, as I'm describing this to you, I know it can be, what's the word I'm looking for? Sometimes it seems like I'm going back and forth as if this is one or the other, or as if complaining is bad. Notice I've never said complaining is bad, but that train goes somewhere specific. And so what I want to know is, where are we going? And that's why I want to move into clarity. So in your relationships, can you describe the relationship that you want? So someone will say, I had this argument with my spouse last night. She was doing this, this, and this, and this, and this. And this is where I'm at today, Brendan. I said, okay, that's where you're at today. Now notice where I can go. I can dig into the problem. Well, tell me what you're fighting about. That's what most coaches will do. Well, what was the fight about? What did you do? But see, you're not a journalist, and you're not a friend, and you're not a therapist. If you're not a journalist, you're not a friend, and you're not a therapist, you don't have to dwell and dig deep to understand every nuance of the argument. Instead, let's vision check it and work from there. So you would ask something like, you'd say something like, sorry that you all had a rough night last night. Notice I didn't say, I'm sorry she was a jerk to you last night. I'm not validating anything you said. Instead of like, I'm sorry you guys had that challenge last night. Tell me, let's take a beat. What would you want the relationship to have been like last night? What would you have hoped had happened? If it was an ideal relationship and you guys were absolutely in your best place, how would that go? Describe that for me. You all see how that's different? It's not saying the complaint isn't real. It's just not having to dig down in every nuance of it. Instead, it's like, okay, describe how would that have gone if you were both in your best place? Notice, how would that have gone if you were both in your best place? Because I'm holding the relationship in honor. I'm not taking sides. Whoa. See, friends take sides. I'm not the friend. I'm their coach. I honor the relationship that they've chosen to be in, even if the relationship they've chosen to be in is hard. And that's why so many of the couples I've worked with have always referenced me to other people, because like, wow, he honors the relationship. Even though it's hard. You chose to be in this relationship. I don't need to say that to the person. They know it. I'm going to honor the fact that they made that choice and honor the relationship and check it towards a future ambition. Oh, okay. So that's what would have happened. So next time, you shared that you wanted a deeper connection of intimacy and love in the relationship. So in the next argument, how would you approach the next argument? As an argument starts next time, what's something that you could do to make sure that you check into that or lock into that loving or that intimate place that you were just talking about? Oh, I guess I would try this, or I would say this to her, or I would do that. Oh, okay. See, now they're generating options for the next time to make it better versus describing, digging, or debriefing every element about the argument they had. Because we can make them better in the future without decoding everything that went wrong in the last situation. Does that make sense? And this is where it's really important to contextualize with many of you that a coaching session is often only an hour. There's only so much time. And to be of service, sometimes it's just not the best utilization of time to dig deep and sit there. It's rather to describe and define an ideal future and the behaviors in the future that will manifest that. Is that helpful? Okay. I know some of this might seem basic, but I hope it's very helpful in terms of this framework. Okay. What else might they have vision and ambition to? Well, their skill. This is their competency, their talent, ability, knowledge, mastery, contributions, the skill sets that they have to move their life forward, achieve their dreams, feel competent and capable and confident. And a lot of people have lost connection with the skill that they need to develop in their life. They forgot, frankly. They really forgot. They're like, what am I trying to do? Because most people are just doing things, but listen to the close nuance here. Most people are doing things, but they are not developing. They're really good at doing, but they forgot to develop. This is one reason people hire you as a coach, is they want your curriculum for development. They want to develop towards these specific outcomes. Like my specific outcome that I sell is called high performance coaching. And so what I do is I have these outcomes that move them towards high performance. And in those outcomes, they know that they're going to get better. And so even if they have a goal of writing a book, or they have a goal of building their chiropractic center, or they have a goal of, building up their revenue, no matter what they do, by moving through the curriculum, they're going to be better at life, which will enable them to be better at specific things. But one of those questions we'll often ask is, what are the skills they're trying to develop in their life? And putting them back on to their own development plan for that. Well, I'm trying to be a better leader. Okay, tell me, what skills are you developing right now as a better leader, and how? Oh, well, I'm not really doing anything there. And here's what I want you to listen to really close, everybody. Very few people ever talk about skill development anymore. Now, you and I might do it because you're into personal development. You're on the page like this, right? You're listening to me. Okay, so we're into this. Most people, like literally, here's my challenge for you. The next 30 days, listen to people talk and listen to how extraordinary rare it is that they talk about anything related to skill or developing skill or developing mastery. It's shocking. What they usually talk about is what happened today and how they felt about it. And if all you do, please listen close, because this might help you and your energy. If all you do is talk about what happened today and how you felt about it, and that is your normal conversation, guess what you're getting detached from? Yeah, the future. A lot of people never talk about the future. If they talk about the future, they can't see themselves in it. They're not thinking about the relationships, and they haven't thought about the skill they had to develop to achieve that future. A lot of coaching is up-leveling skill and saying, oh, what's the thing you need to work on? How are you going to develop that? Are you going to take a course? You're going to get a mentor? Going to get some consulting on that? Going to read a book on that? What are you going to put together for your own personal curriculum to help you in that skill set to manifest the future you want? And here's another way. And this is, again, I'm just sharing some very basics with you here. This is the first day of 3 days for everybody, again, as a context. I'm sharing some basic nuance of how do you get a coaching client. In that first session or conversation you're with them, and we'll talk about how to do it, do sales later on, because maybe you don't want to do sessions. You just want to do a video. Great. You can do a video and get your clients booking you. No problem. Or maybe you just want to sell group coaching through a webinar. Great. We'll talk about that too. But let's assume you're in an actual conversation with a person. They're thinking about you as a coach, and you're like, why wouldn't they just hire me? One easy checkpoint for you is to notice whether or not they spoke about skill at all on the call. I can tell you, probably half of my clients, I've used this move where we're in the call, they're evaluating me, so they think, right? So they'll be gauging whether or not I should be their coach, and they'll be asking me questions, and towards the end of the call, they'll be, is there anything else you'd like to share with me, or anything else I should think about if we should work together? And I'll say, yeah, I mean, maybe one. I hope that we've had some value and distinction today, and we're moving you to a higher vision. But I did happen to notice that you didn't talk about any skill development today. You're talking with the coach, but I didn't hear you specifically speak about skills that you are trying to develop in your life right now to manifest the future. I heard some things you said you want to get better at to survive today. But if you're going to work with me, we're going to build a different kind of future for you. And that's your choice. I mean, you can go figure out lots of things to do better today. But if you want to build something different, that's why you work with a coach. And you need to be aware that you just had a conversation with one and you didn't talk about skill. That's one reason we should work together. Oh, dang it. That's one reason we should work together. So this is things you actually say to people. Well, that's just one more reason we should work together. If you don't say stuff like that, you can't be shocked that people aren't throwing you money. I thought that was funny, but maybe it sounded facetious. You know, if you're not giving them the observation of what just happened with you and why it could have been better, what they could have said, and that's why you should work together, you're missing a huge lever in coaching, this monster lever. Okay. You all good? You got it. Okay. Next level, and this is why I think we're all here together today, is their clarity and ambitions for their level of service in the world. This is the, what is the contribution, or this is the, what's the make a difference, make an impact stuff in your life. And what's interesting is a lot of people, they'll spend a lot of time talking with you how they feel, but not what they want to contribute. And that's another huge lever point. Now, I know you can say, well, but Brendan, if they're just talking how they feel, shouldn't I make the whole session about how they feel? I'm like, no, never. Because what happens is if you're only in people's feelings, you're disconnecting again from the future. And it's just a very different thing that a coach will do than maybe a therapist, a friend, or somebody in a relationship. You'll spend an hour just talking about somebody's feelings, but remember, they want to have a different quality of life. That's why they're working with a life coach. Life, right? We didn't call it a feelings coach. We called it a life coach. And a huge part of life is ourselves, other people, what we're capable at, and how we're making a difference. And so we want to make sure that their contribution is forward-facing in coaching conversations. It's a huge lever to pull. It's a huge lever to pull. I'll bring this up with parents all the time. They'll describe something that's going on with their kid and it's a challenge or trying to work through it. And again, it's not a complaint with edge. They're just describing what's going on with their kid. And so we'll talk through it and I'll share to them, I'll say, I don't know a lot about this situation other than what you've shared with me, but I do believe you could provide a great level of service to your daughter if you're the role model in this situation. If you think from the role model mindset for her, that will be a contribution to her character, a level of service to her that she'll always appreciate that came from her dad. It's like, oh, wow. Yeah, that's right. Because all he's trying to do is like, tell me what to say to my daughter to get her to stop, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm trying to do is shift him into a higher future. Oh, you're the role model. You're the good dad. And in this role model mindset, you're providing service to her. Like this is being a father that contributes, a mindset versus handles a problem. A father that contributes a mindset versus handles a problem. Because see, most people, they're stuck in handling problems and they're forgetting that they're shaping a relationship. They're contributing something. And so I'm always listening. I'm like, are they vitally aware they're making a difference, that they have impact, that their behavior has a ripple effect to them, to those around them? That the act of living and relating with others is the contribution when you're acting from a place of your full potential and as a role model. When you are aware of your potential and acting from a role model, just living and relating with people, that is the service to humanity. You don't need 1 million more TikTok followers to feel like you're making a difference when you're connected with your potential and you understand that you're a role model in your communication with other people. There's contribution right here. Okay, clearly, this was a lot on just one lever today, right? One lever. What's something that resonated with you in me describing this today with your clients or your potential client? What's something up here? What was your favorite part of this? Because I'm going to watch the chat in replay as well. I want to see what you guys share here. I'm just curious. I know we have a lot to go. This is the first lever of a lot of models and training for the next couple of days. Okay. The coaches aren't your friends or therapists. That's right. Skill set development. Well, the friend thing really took off. Okay, that's good to know. Fluidity developing skill sets. Okay, that's good. Challenging them. Recognizing they didn't share about skills. Yep. The active living is the contribution. Curriculum right in the middle of the coin. That's good. It's good. Okay. So if I can come back to the framing of this, I'm talking about psychological levers, and these are things we can always touch base back to into a coaching session, but also into a sales process. By the way, any of you who are struggling with your sales of whatever you're selling, I don't care if you sell a book, I don't care if you're just trying to sell them into a webinar, I don't care if you've got courses or live events coming up, I want you to listen closely. The way to get people to follow your brand and buy more from you is not just to be the person who has headlines of problem. There has to be aspiration. You are selling vision. You are selling a higher level ambition. Don't forget, opportunity sales just as much as problem handling. Problems are overly played in the marketplace. Yes, we have to speak to people's problems. Of course, we had lots of conversation about that today. But in your marketing and your sales, we're going to come back to this tomorrow and the following day. If all you're doing is like problem scheming or using problem-based formatting all the time, it's why people don't stay with you. You need to be an aspirational character. Listen, I've got an iPhone here. Lots of other phones solve the same problems, but Apple was selling a different aspiration, weren't they? A different brand, a different positioning, a different style. And I think it's important to recognize that's what big companies and big successes and yes, top coaches do. They understand the power of aspiration as much as just commoditized problem solving. I want you to hear this closely from me. The reason I shared this with you today is because what you are competing against in the future, ChatGPT, AI coaching, a lot of that will be commoditized answer, problem, query, problem, prompt, answer, response. It's problem solving, not potential unlocking, not visioning, not aspiration. See, the difference is you're going to be able to help your coaching clients dream and see and envision in a different way. Your marketing oriented towards vision and aspiration will become more valuable and important the more you're competing with a bunch of marketers who are just using ChatGPT to describe problems. Aspiration. I have huge aspiration for this industry. I have huge aspiration for your career. I have huge aspiration for your wealth, for your impact, for your health. And that's why I start with this one. Checking back to vision, getting you back into aspiration, getting you back into your dreams, getting you back your edge. That is the stuff. That is the primary framing of coaching that makes coaching different than friends, relationships, and therapists. We live in the future and we pull people up the future. We have a higher standard, a higher level of anticipation and enthusiasm for their future than most people do. And that's why they want to work with the coach. They think they want to work with the coach for problem solving. That's why I acknowledged that we'll have those conversations as I'm about to go into now, but I want to move and remind you to move them back up to vision. Okay, let's go on to one more psychological level. Is this too dorky? Maybe, I know some of you guys like, when's he going to talk about what I do on Instagram? How do I get emails? Okay, we'll get to that in day 2 and 3. Okay, we're trying to talk about the real stuff. This is the stuff that makes the difference in the careers. Anybody can make an Instagram page. Okay, psychological levers. I talked about number 1 was vision and ambition. So I'll put that here for you. Vision and ambition. The clarity of vision, the appropriate level of ambition to fuel them. Second, Positive framing. Positive framing and, processing. Okay. This is huge. Huge. Positive framing and processing. What do I mean by this? Well, as people describe things to you, of course, they're attaching meaning to them. And of course, more often, they're just kind of working it through with you. They're trying to figure out, what do I think? What do I feel? What should I do? And here's the deal. Often they're not even aware of how they've interpreted things. So for those who've studied any of my work before, maybe you've heard me teach the interpretation ladder, and that might be a good way to reference this one. I'll come back to it. The interpretation ladder, if you haven't studied it with me before, there's a ladder of meaning, and it begins usually with some information comes in, and then what we do is we interpret that information, and then we filter that interpretation through our identity. And then from that, we set some kind of intention on what to do or how to feel. And then we enact it in the world or not. Initiative. I know that was super fast, so hang with me. I was just trying to get it written down for you. Okay, so what we do is when people are processing and talking with you, what they're often talking about is these top two levels. Well, my wife said this and I felt that, so I did this. And they skip down to here, initiative. So if you can't read this, it says information comes in, a scene happens, a situation happens, circumstances, situation. Interpretation is this safe? Is this good? Is this bad? Approach, avoid, pain, pleasure. It's immediate interpretation. It's more in the emotion than the feeling. Identity, now we're attaching some meaning to who am I in the situation? Who am I? Am I respected? Am I seen? Am I validated? Am I important? Am I worthy? Then we're in intention. Okay, based on all that, what should I do? What should I really feel long term? What should I think? What should I desire? And the initiative, should I take action? Some of you CHPCs, some of my other coaches, I've taught on this for hours and hours. It's incredibly powerful as a framework to understand how do people get to doing what they're doing. Like the initial, what you did yesterday followed this ladder. You might not have known it, but even if you're highly intentional, you're still using this. It's a really great model for reactivity though. And so what happens is I'll listen to people and often they'll do this first one. He did this, made me feel that way. I told him to shut up. Okay. But they're skipping how they sense themselves, who they are, whether or not they feel like they're participating, where they feel respected, honored, seen. And they're not talking about what their intention was and being clear about their intention. They're just skipping to what they did. They're reactively taking action, but they didn't take time. They weren't mindful or present to be able to interpret, filter through identity and intention. Does that make sense? So sometimes in coaching, I'm taking them through this ladder of interpretation or meaning to see how they got themselves to where they did. So they might say, well, I just, I got angry with my spouse last night. I'm using that example too much. You know what? Yesterday, we really struggled in our team to make a decision. Okay, you struggled with your team to make a decision. So what happened? Well, I got kind of frustrated with them and I told them we'll do it next time. Okay. To understand the situation here, I don't need to know what everybody else did and what everybody else said and what was going on and what was the purpose of the meeting. I need to get in this person's head. How do I get into a person's head? I need to understand, what did they see? What did they interpret it as? How did they feel and sense themselves in that situation? What did they want to happen? And were they clear about that? And then what did they do? And sometimes they're going to give you, it's like very interesting. People talk and they don't know they're in the, what I call the rungs of each of this ladder. A lot of people, they'll just talk to you about identity all day long. Identity, 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 but they'll never go to intention. Or they'll talk about interpretation. I didn't like this. This person's a jerk. This felt bad. But they'll sit there and they'll never move it through to what they want and to taking any action. So I'm just listening. And this is a big lever, is to work people through their thoughts, right? This is a way of processing people in conversation that I'll often use. And a lot of my clients know the ladder. Like I literally have a little card that I give them this ladder on. Remember I told you about having your own coaching process or program? One of the things I do is when I work with a client, I send them these little cards. They're like flashcards with a bunch of my frameworks on them. And so sometimes I'll bring up one of the flashcards. I don't call them that, but everyone here will probably know what that language means. So I'll give them a little flashcard and we'll work through that on the call. I say, you know what? I think we need to go through the ladder. Oh, okay. They know exactly what I'm talking about. I say, I help me understand, what was your intention there? And here's the thing. I don't spend as much time on information gathering as most of my peers. And that's why I get paid more. Remember, I'm not a journalist. I don't actually need that much information. The gold lives below the information, right? The gold lives in the interpretation, not just what happened. As you all know, 5 different people can see a car accident and they all describe it completely different from their own vantage point, right? So the magic wasn't in what happened, because everyone's going to describe it differently. The magic is what happened in here. And if I can understand what happened in here, then I can get to a place of understanding the client, not the context. New coaches spend a lot of time trying to understand the context. Well, why did she do that? What happened next? And they're always trying to dig. It's like they're a sleuth. But if you ever watch Sherlock Holmes, I don't know if you know, does anyone know what that is anymore? I feel like it's old stuff now. But if you ever read Sherlock Holmes, or you ever watch some of the good shows about it, you'd always notice it's like there are a lot of episodes where he notices something on the ground, he notices a context, and that's the big breakthrough in the case. That's not really how most of them goes. Most of the breakthroughs of the case is he got in the perpetrator's head. He realized from some evidence who the person might be. And from the understanding of who this character might be, the solve happened. That's what I'm doing down here. I'm understanding the character of my client more than digging into the situation. This is like life altering in getting you paid more. Really, when I started understanding this, because when you're first beginning, you're asking questions to try to understand context and situation. Later, you're trying to understand the character and the self of your client. And now you're able to move so much more quickly. And when I give them this ladder, I'm able to move them faster. Now, you might have your own tools. I know lots of you have your own personal development framework for positive thinking, or, for how to frame something, or how to have the right mindset or attitude. Whatever your framework is, becomes a very powerful tool. And now let me come back to the central point. I want to make sure that no matter what situation they've dealt with, even if it was a negative situation, that we're moving them into a positive framing and processing of it. It does not mean that they think the context was positive. It means they now feel that they have high agency because they thought through it out loud. And if we can get people to think through it out loud intentionally, then they start to feel more capable, more strong, more willing to engage with the situation next time. And so I'm always really conscious of that. Like, how do I positively frame this with them? Not me frame it for them, us work it through to get it into a more positive place. Now, notice what I'm doing. I'm not in any way trying to get them to go back and attach a new meaning to the context. I'm trying to empower them with their own thinking process. I'm not giving them the thinking process, and I'm not giving them the valuation of the situation. Instead, I'm giving them the tool or the process to generate their own thinking. I know that sounds a little bit like a word salad, so forgive me on this one. But I think for those who are experienced coaches, you realize, wow, that's a major, major difference maker when you learn how to do that. Having your client know how to talk through things and think through things with you is very important. And here's why I'm going to share this with you. Getting them to be able to do something like this in whatever framework you use, it speeds up the breakthroughs and the ideation in the sessions. Some of you, the reason you're not getting paid more as a coach is your sessions are too slow because you're spending too much time debriefing and not actually helping processing happen, not generating, right? There's debriefing, tell me about what happened. There's processing, let's talk this through. And there's generating, what are some options moving forward? Debriefing, processing, generating. Debriefing, processing, generating. As you move people through these three things faster, they value you more. They're like excited. You end up finding more time to talk about the vision or the future or relationships in the future than normal. And so they're like, that's where you start getting clients like, wow, we did a lot today. That was awesome. Versus them hanging up and going, it's kind of a boring call. I wanted you to hear this. Movement through the session is a superpower. And as you move them through the session in their own debriefing, processing, and generating, it's like another level of mastery. Are you guys liking this? I'm just trying to figure out how I'm too dorky today. I feel like this is the stuff I like because I think this has made my career. It's why I get the referrals. It's why everyone wants to work with me for years. Dork out. Thank you very much, Chris. I am dorking out a little bit. I think this is the stuff that really, really, really matters. Really matters. Okay. Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate it. That's a good one. Dork on. I like it. Dork on. Okay. I'll keep dorking on. That's funny. I appreciate it. Very kind. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So with this interpretation ladder, I'm trying to get them ultimately into this place of higher agency. Maybe I could not control the situation that happened, but now I know how to align my thoughts in a way that's going to be helpful for me. I'm back in command. I'm back in command. I'm moving through my processing. I'm moving into generation. I'm back in command. I have agency in my life, even if in that context it sucked or I got stuck. Because a lot of people are stuck right now. I really are. Literally, the reason I'm doing this with you right now is I'm watching the marketplace lose its dork outness on this kind of stuff and focus on so much money and marketing that they forgot why we do this, to actually make a difference and actually see people become more powerful in their lives. Like, that's what we want to do. We want to see people become more powerful in their lives. That's giving them that higher level of agency. And it's so powerful when you get that in your own life. When you get more powerful in your life, it just means you're more in command in difficult situations. It means you're more capable of doing the things you want. It means you're more disciplined on following through on your word. It means you feel better at the end of the day when you set your head on the pillow. You're like, that was a good day. I showed up today. I summoned my best today. I made it happen today. It's an entirely different feeling, an entirely different feeling. Okay, let me move on to a couple more levers here. Let me go to the third psychological level. Oh, you know what I didn't say on the last piece? Just same thing where I use vision and ambition to evaluate what I'm hearing from them. In the same thing, if I'm in a sales session with somebody and we're doing a session and I want them to become a client afterwards, I've heard them discuss, and I'll say something like, Barbara, as you were talking through that difficult relationship with me, what I can tell is sometimes as you're processing it, you're skipping a beat. You're skipping a rung in the ladder, and it might make you more reactive than you want to be. Do you feel like you're reactive sometimes? She's like, yeah. Do you feel like your emotions are out of control sometimes? She goes, yeah. I said, what I'm hearing is sometimes something's happening. You described interpretation, how you felt to me, but I didn't hear a clear intention. And so in that difficult relationship or in that conversation, you might be in reactive mode. Part of working with a coach is learning to be more intentional before the circumstance and through the circumstance. Because do you ever feel like you lose your place or you lose your words or you get caught up in the conflict? She's like, yeah. I go, yeah, that's why you work with a coach. We're going to help you fall back into a place where you have more power in those situations because your intention is more clear. And we get you more centered, more stable, more strong. When that chaos hits you, you don't feel just swarmed up into it. You can find your center and you can work through that relationship from a place of intention. It makes you more patient with your daughter. And you said earlier that you wanted a better relationship with your daughter. And I bet patience would help that too, wouldn't it? She goes, yeah. I go, well, that's why we'll work together. We'll get you more intentional. You see how I say that? So now it's like bringing together what I heard and letting her know she might be skipping something. Sometimes she's skipping identity. I didn't hear you describe yourself in the situation. Did you feel seen, heard, respected? Sometimes they skipped intention. Sometimes they skipped initiative. I'm just listening. And I'm going to bring them into higher agency, higher power. And by the end of that call, they're like, I got to work with this guy because I missed that thing. I got to work with that guy because my vision wasn't there. Okay. Third one, where was I on this? Oh, I like this one. We're going to go into energy. And when I talk about energy, I want to talk about it a little differently than you might think about it. So stick with me here for a minute. In terms of energy, I'm listening for just a few things. And I shared a few of them with you. Let me go through just a couple of them for you. I shared earlier with you enjoyment. I can tell you that this word, could you all put it in caps in the chat just for yourself? Enjoyment. Just like it's such a great word. I love the word. I love saying the word. I love writing the word. I love working with clients through the word. Just getting them more enjoyment is so huge. And I'll listen for that energy on the call. So I'll say something, Barbara, we just did a great call. I learned a lot about you. I know where I can help you. Obviously, you've identified some ways that I could help you. But I have one more thing. There's one more thing. I noticed it doesn't sound, and I could get this wrong, so tell me if I'm wrong, Barbara, but I'm just getting to know you today, and it didn't sound like you're enjoying the process as much as you want to. Is that true? It doesn't sound like you're enjoying your marriage as much as you want to. It doesn't sound like you're enjoying your career as much as you want to. Whatever the thing is that we're talking about, bringing joy and the process of enjoying life into life coaching is so important. And what our industry did, because it became cliched, was only talking about, what brings you energy? What takes away energy? I'm like, that's nice. But if you say that to someone 10 times in a row, they'll be like, oh God, why am I having a call with you? Why don't I just journal about it? Like, they want a conversation, not the same questions every time. And the industry got caught in that same questions every time. What brought you joy? What brought you energy this week? What took away energy this week? You can't ask a high performer that every week. It's like if you're a creator and you go on a new podcast every week and they ask the same questions every week, you're like, ugh, I don't want to ever do another podcast again. They want newness, but the theme is very valuable. The theme is valuable of what brings energy, takes away energy. But those things are also your judgments. What I want you to do is open up the conversation of enjoyment. And if you notice or you heard through their tone that there wasn't enjoyment there, call it out. Always call it out. You know what? I'm sensing there wasn't a lot of enjoyment this week. First, I want to know, is that true? Second, I want to know what brings more of that in. And now I'm making sure I never label something. I always, if I feel something, if I feel they're sad, if I feel they're bored, if I feel they're confused, I ask, I go, I'm getting the sense that maybe there's confusion here. Is that right? I'm getting a sense that you're kind of sad about that. Is that right? I'm having the sense that you didn't enjoy that game with your daughter you usually enjoy. Is that right? So always question the label. But I think this one's really powerful. And I'll share explicitly with someone. I go, I want to let you know, when we work together, I expect us to enjoy the process. I expect us to work through the hard things. I expect us to level up. I expect it will be a life-changing experience in your life. But I expect that we're going to enjoy this together because you deserve more enjoyment at this stage of your life. Isn't that true? And they always go, yeah. I said, great. That's what we're going to do. Oh. See, when you tell someone they want something, and then you say, that's what we're going to do, they're like, where do I send the check? And so in your sales process, I think this one is hugely missed. And I'm going to come to your energy coaches. I'm going to come to your energy. A lot of coaches, and it's very important, many of you attend tomorrow, the day afterwards, because what happens to you is when you talk with a client, your energy is too scared at the beginning. You're too in yourself at the beginning, or you're too worried about them and you're trying to understand. So you're looking at them like this. So you're either looking at them like this, which feels like they're a zoo animal, or you're in your own head and you're just kind of like, am I good at this? So you're like, imagine this is how you meet your client. You're like this, or you're like this. So you're either in your own feelings, am I good enough? I don't know. Or you're up in their face trying to figure them out. These are not sales spaces, okay? We have to teach you. If you're going to be a coach, you got to open up your face and you have to bring enjoyment to the process. They should listen. This is so important. I know you're not necessarily their friend or you're not in a relationship with them. I understand this. Let me share something though. If in the first 10 minutes of a coaching call, a coaching session, a coaching sales session, it's not enjoyable for them, there's no humor, there's no engagement, you're not present working something with them and enjoying it, showing with your face or your tone that you're enjoying it. If they can't tell that you enjoy the process with them, don't be shocked they don't hire you or come back. This is so important. So many coaches go through the motions. They've got the sheet. They built their curriculum. They got their tools. They got everything. And then they're like this on the call. Okay, Barbara, tell me more about that thing. Okay. All right. Next question is this. Wait, I didn't understand that thing. What? Okay. Well, I just feel like your ambition is a little too low. Yeah. Vision. And it's like, good Lord, are you having fun? Please, like, I want you all to know that you can have extraordinary fun and joy as you earn more money. Can I get an amen on a weekday? More fun in your life. That's why you're going to work with me. That's why you're going to sign up. I'm going to make life coaching more fun. Or I'm going to make whatever the process is you're doing with them more fun, right? That's what I want you to do. You are going to make the process enjoyable for them. You're going to make growth enjoyable with and for them. And you're going to remind yourself to have more joy. Our industry has gotten so constipated. I don't know what's going on with people. I'm like, I listen to these calls. I see people talking about how they sell it. I'm like, man, dude, you need a break from the gym or whatever caffeine you're on for a minute. You seem angry at people. I appreciate your muscles and I appreciate your brilliance, but people want to work with people. Do you know why you're going to kick the hell out of AI? You're going to be more fun. You're going to be more human. The ability for you to bring joy to people and enjoy a process with people. See, the answers will come from AI. A process will come from AI. But enjoyment together, woo, that is a human thing, baby. That's a different thing. And I'm telling you, you might have forgot that. Sometimes in our life, we lose the presence of real energy. We go through the motion, we get the things done. You drop the kids off, you go back, you try to get a little bit of work, you get the shopping done, you try to make some dinner, you go through the day, but you forgot. Your face looked like this the whole time. And listen, I hope one day you and I do become friends and you and I get to go to Whole Foods together. I'm a party at Whole Foods. You never had so much fun. If I get, my wife won't even let me go to Costco, which is a huge problem. Maybe we can go to Costco. I need to go to Costco. My wife won't let me go to Costco because I'm going to have so much fun there. I'm going to be there for a long time. Because I figure like if I have to go shopping, and I'm not somebody who naturally enjoys shopping, by the way. So if I'm going to go shopping, I'm going to make myself enjoy shopping, right? I'm going to find a way to make myself enjoy the process. So if I got to build a web page, I'm like, oh, I don't really want to build a web page. I'm like, Brendan, I heard you say, I don't really want to build a web page. If you don't make yourself enjoy it, guess what? You won't do it. So what do? I put on I call them my electric earmuffs. You know, the electric earmuffs, the big Bose earmuff looking things. I put them on. I crank on some favorite music, right? I'll get my favorite green tea or my favorite thing, a little piece of chocolate, and I'll just be jamming, making my web page, jamming out to I'm enjoying the music. I'm enjoying the drink. I'm enjoying the chocolate. Even as I'm like, I got to build this friggin' code thing. Okay, I'll figure it out. I'm making the process enjoyable, even if the thing itself doesn't feel like it. Now, some people say, well, Brendan, you're just fooling yourself and you're just fooling your clients. I'm like, well, maybe, but I'm also counteracting that maybe they fooled themselves into not appreciating life. Maybe they fooled themselves into thinking they have no freedom. Maybe they fooled themselves into thinking they can't have any fun anymore. Maybe they fooled themselves into thinking life is so serious all the time. Maybe they are the ones who fooled themselves, and it's my job to de-fool them. I don't know. Maybe we can have some fun. Maybe we can enjoy the process. I want to work with you because you're fun. Now, here's the deal. Many of you don't think you're fun, and that's why you need to work with me. No. See how I did that? I thought that was good, right? See what happened there? I don't have anything to sell. I'm just saying. I think it's important. You're going to work with me because you're going to have fun. And I know many of you don't think you're fun anymore. And so I'll tell a client that, literally, I'll say, listen, I know you don't think life can be fun. I know you don't think this process can be fun. I know what you're going through does not feel fun. But here's what I can promise you. This process of you and me working together, it will be enjoyable. It will be enjoyable because I'm going to ask you to make it fun, and I'm going to make it fun with you, and we're going to do the work together. Because guess what? This is a very unique thing we get to do. You get to work with me. I get to work with you. And if we're going to do it, let's enjoy the process. I'm going to challenge you. Do you agree to challenge me? You will? Good. Because I'm going to have fun being challenged. I'm going to have fun challenging you. And we're going to level each other up, because too often we went through our lives and no one was leveling each other up. No one's leveling you up enough. That's why you're still on the call with me. That's why we're going to work together. But the difference is this time, you're going to enjoy the process of growth instead of gritting through, grinding through, and burning out. No more burning out. This time, we're going to enjoy the process. This time, we're going to build with wellness. This time, you're going to get to have some fun and fulfillment along the way. And you just see people They're like, yeah, that's what I want. So don't forget, you are selling energy, coaches. You are selling enjoyment of the process. So as much as you like human behavior change, like I do too, you guys love your self-development, you love your personal development. But sometimes as you do sessions or you do Zooms, you're so in the framework or so stuck in the thing that you forget to have fun. I did that when we began, probably the first 20 minutes today, because I was trying to make sure the technology is working and start with you guys and not go too fast and get you. It's like the same thing. So we all do it. But my enjoyment of the process of coaching is why I'm here. I ensure my clients enjoy it. I make jokes at my own expense. I tease, I cajole, we have fun. I stop things. If they say something that's brilliant, I go, hey, that's brilliant, write that down. And every time I go, hey, they're like, what? So I peak the tone. I make a move. I do something like what's going on? And I just confuse them. Why? Because it's fun. And who wants a fun career? That's why listen, you're going to become a life coach or you're going to achieve more or earn more as a life coach because you want it to be fun and you want it to be lucrative. And last big one on this piece right now is we want the sense that what they are experiencing is fulfilling. I'll just type in meaningful here for you. Is I'm listening for the energy of meaning, fulfillment, appreciation, gratitude, beauty. I'm going to put it under the same sense of fulfillment and meaning of life. And so if we go through several sessions or the first session and there was no gratitude or appreciation for anything in their life, I'll say, one of the reasons we need to work together is, this is what you say to your clients, one of the reasons we need to work together is, I noticed there wasn't a lot of conversation today about appreciation, about gratitude. And that's not a judgment. My promise to you is you're going to achieve so much of us working together that you're going to have a greater sense of fulfillment and gratitude, that you're going to come to some of these sessions because of what we did in the previous sessions. You're going to come with so much gratitude, so much momentum, so much progress that you can't wait to start the session to tell me all the things that you're excited about and fulfilled by that you did just from last week's conversation. That you're going to be prideful and have that sense of fulfillment and meaning in your life because the progress that you're getting. I want those tones when we're talking, those tones where you drop in, you're like, yeah, I love my wife. I love my career. I love my kids. I want a sense that you recognize the beauty and the gift of life, not from where you've been, but in our time working together. I want that to amplify. I want that sense of fulfillment in what you're doing and experience in life to amplify and to feel deeper and feel better. That's something I want for you in these coaching sessions. How do you feel about that? Yeah, I want that too. Yeah, that'd be great. I missed that. I said, good. That's why we need to work together. All right, guys. I hope that some of these frameworks today have been helpful. We went through, 9 slides already? I can't even believe that. Tomorrow, we're in the exact same place you came today. Same thing, but a new curriculum. We move on to program and promotions tomorrow. How do you build a program? How do you build some of these elements into it? And we're going to dive deep in specifically the promotions that the context I laid today, some of these conversations. How do you get people into the conversations? How do you get people to show up? All of that conversation will happen tomorrow. And then the following day, we'll go into brand and business. That's on day 3 of this learning coaching with Brendon Burchard. I hope you enjoyed today. I want to thank you for your energy. I want to thank you for your intention. I want to remind you of a few things. Number 1, do not forget that this stage of your life can be a career. And that career, whether you call it a mission, you call it a purpose, just don't call it something a throwaway, get rich quick side hustle thing. This is meaningful work shifting people's lives. And if we can get our industry back to the, just to get rich quick, but back into no, this is making a difference. And the reason I'm choosing to do it isn't because it's the perfect high ticket. No, you're not doing coaching because it's the perfect high ticket. You're doing coaching because it makes a difference in people's lives and you love that process. Can I get an amen on a weekday? You love the process of making a difference. That's why you're choosing it as a career, part-time, full-time, as a new offer. However you're doing it, you're not doing it because it slots in to your high ticket offer. I love that. I love that you're going to make a lot of money. We'll talk about that tomorrow, especially with promotions. I just think that leading with that people have lost the magic of giving people vision, reconnecting them to their ambition, reconnecting them to how they think in a better way and interpreting the world, and helping them higher levels of energy, of appreciation and fulfillment and enjoyment of life. And if you can get down with that, and if you like that, then join me tomorrow for part 2, day number 2 of Learning Life Coaching with Brendon Burchard. All right. Hey, it's Brendon. I'm going to jump right back in here. Again, obviously, this is filmed a little bit later because as we broadcast the life coaching class, it was so popular. So many people ask, Brendon, can I just buy it? I want to own it. And the answer is yes, of course, down below. You can sign up and actually purchase not just what you saw, but the entire 3 days for just $47. That way you can watch it at your own pace anytime. And of course, I'll throw in a free call with one member of my team to talk to you about where you are in your coaching journey. Are you just starting? Are you looking to scale? What are you doing with your personal branding? How much are you charging? Just get kind of like a sanity check with some experts. We've been blessed to do more high performance coaching than any other company and team in the world, and we're pretty good at it. And I think you talking with my team will help identify where should you grow? Where should you focus your efforts? And how can you get in the game faster? So again, just purchase my life coaching class right now for $47. You'll own it. You can talk with my team and we'll get you going from there. And I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you for watching. Hey, not a lot of people really want to make a difference in other people's lives. So many people just want to transform their own, but that impulse you have, that of course you want to change yourself and change your life, but you want to help other people. I want to thank you and I want to congratulate you for that. You're the exact type of person that I want to work with in my life. So I hope you'll purchase a life coaching class. You'll talk with my team and I hope to see you on the road one day and give you a high five and thank you for making a difference in the world. We need you on your A game. We need you coaching people. We need you making an impact in the world. So thank you for tuning in today. I'll see you soon.